podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Sunday, May 29th, 2022. This is episode 1898. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by CashFly. CashFly is giving away a complimentary detailed analysis of your current CDN bill and usage trends. See if you're overpaying 20% or more. Learn more at twit.cashfly.com. Whoa, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here. Memorial Day edition of the Tech Guy Show. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number if you want to talk high tech. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. That's my phone number. 888-827-5536. Website, techguylabs.com. We'll put all the links there so you don't have to search around for it. techguylabs.com. Today, your phone calls. Sam Abuelsamid is coming up, our car guy. Rod Pyle's giving a talk, so no space guy today. And Chris Marquardt en route is traveling, so he's got the day off. So it's just you, me, Sam. That's good. More calls. This will be fun today. In the annals of NFTs, non-fungible tokens. You've heard about NFTs, right? They're tightly tied in some obscure way to cryptocurrencies. Not so much Bitcoin, more a cryptocurrency called Ethereum, ETH. But it doesn't matter. The whole idea of an NFT is, I don't know what. Let's use something we all understand. Baseball cards, right? Let's use that. Let's say you happen to have one of the, 4 Hannes Wagner baseball cards worth millions, right? Problem with that, and you know, any kind of sports memorabilia or collectibles is, are they genuine? Is it the real Hannes Wagner card or a good fake? Happens with art too, right? So the idea of NFTs, sort of, is the provenance, where this thing came from, is stored in a decentralized, immutable, unchangeable thing called the blockchain. Am I losing you here? It's as if you put it, there was a ledger where you put, this thing, item 14344 looks like this, belongs to this guy, That's in a ledger, and then the ledger is distributed to everybody. Everybody has a copy. So I can't go in and go, well, no, it's not. Because everybody else will say, well, Leo, we know because we have a copy too. You can't change that. So, in theory, this is a good idea. And there have been lots of proposed uses for this. NFTs are a way of making a collectible that it can be provably yours. But there's a little weirdness going on because an NFT isn't usually something physical like a Hannes Wagner baseball card, but it's a digital item, a drawing, or something like that, video. NBA sells NFTs of highlights from the game. Now, this is a little puzzling because everybody saw the highlight. In fact, even if you own that highlight, Steph Curry's three-pointer to win the championship, they say you own that. I own that. It's on the, bought the NFT. And by the way, these are expensive, these NBA NFTs. Doesn't mean nobody can have a copy of it. No, that doesn't work that way. It just means you own it and they can provably own it. If you go to NBATopShot.com, coming June 7th, buy officially licensed NBA NFTs of Magic Johnson's greatest moments. I mean, everybody saw it. Everybody can have the video. I can have the video. I can watch it over and over again. But you technically, and boy, that's the word, technically own it because you paid for it. I wonder what the, let's see, let's just look at the marketplace right now for NBA NFTs, videos, that kind of thing. So, you know, they're pretty cheap. For $135, you can watch Chris Paul from November 30th, 2021 do something. I don't know, dunk it. Slam dunk it. Here's a dunk from Edmund Sumner, only $35. It's a deal. There's other stuff, too. You can sell it. Of course you could sell it. There would be no point if you couldn't sell it, right? That's the real point. And if you sell it and you sell it for twice what you bought it for, now you've doubled your money. But there's even better because you also retain some rights. So if it's sold again, you get a percentage of that and on and on and on. So it's a pyramid scheme, let's face it. Anyway, one of the very hot NFTs are some cartoons of bored apes. Yeah, monkeys. The Bored Ape Yacht Club. The Bored Ape Yacht, and they sell for a lot of money. I mean, these are not cheap. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. By the way, the person who drew the Bored Apes doesn't get it. No, it was work for hire. They went out and hired some poor artist who did 100 Bored Apes pictures, and then they paid him, and now they owned it outright. The Bored Ape Yacht Club people. The peoples, and then they sold them on, and then owners sold them on, and I sold them on, and they're worth quite a bit. Bored Ape Yacht Club number 8398, 8098, which was a bored ape with a halo. I think he's smoking something. It's unclear what. He's got a cigarette hanging from his lips, and yeah, he looks pretty bored. Was purchased by Seth Green, actor and producer Seth Green, because these NFTs are nothing if you don't get celebrities buying them. And then you get Matt Damon going, courage favors the brave, or fortune favors the brave. So be brave, buy some NFTs. Can I just make some advice? Be smart and don't buy NFTs. Brave, I guess, is one way to describe buying NFTs. Anyway, Seth was brave, bought, I think he spent a lot of money on this NFT. But then he was dumb because he did something kind of foolish. He designed an entire television show around Bored Ape 8398. The forthcoming show, according to BuzzFeed, was developed from characters in Green's expansive NFT collection. And then he got fished. Somebody said somehow, I don't know exactly the details of the fish, but he got convinced to, so when you own, it gets even more complicated. When you own an NFT, it uses something called public key cryptography. You have a public key you can hand out. That's if you want to give me money, if you want to give me Bitcoin or Ethereum, I can give you the public key of my wallet. Anybody can have that because it's inbound only. There's also a private key that I use to access the wallet, to sell it, to add to it, to, whatever. Don't give out the private key because then anybody could do it. And that's it. That's all it takes, by the way. So make sure you understand when you got an NFT or any cryptocurrency, you can give out the public key, put a QR code on your web page. People will give you Bitcoin or whatever. That's what I did. But never, ever reveal your private key. Now, if you're smart, you also have a password, and your private key is stored safely and so forth. Seth Green apparently got tricked into giving his private key, I guess he didn't understand what he was doing, to a bad guy who then sold Bored Ape 8384 to an Australian doctor, physician, who goes by the name Darkwing 84. He bought it. Okay, now get ready. He bought it for $200,000. Probably didn't know it belonged to Seth Green. Probably didn't know that. But unfortunately, Seth Green has planned an entire TV show around it and now no longer owns the rights because he accidentally lost it. It's kind of unclear. Like supposedly you have the copyright if you own the NFT. What else do you have besides fewer dollars? So he's, the doctor, Darkwing 84, has been going back. He said, I'm not giving it back. I'm not giving it back. And it's unclear. The law is unclear. Like, this is stolen goods, but did he know it was stolen? Does he have to give it back? He's not the thief, apparently. I don't know. It's just a mess, and Seth is just all verklempt. He has said, this attack could be the machinations of a person, a foreign financial conglomerate, or some massive scam house somewhere. But guys, if there's a door to kick in, I promise I'm going to kick in the door for us. You know what? Guess what, Seth? No door. Just a big hole in your heart where Bored Ape 8398 used to live. Aww. Aww. By the way, if you want, you could see pictures of this because even though he owns it, he doesn't. It doesn't keep you from tweeting it or putting it on your homepage. It's a very weird thing. This should just be a cautionary tale. When somebody comes to you and says, boy, this is the next big thing. There was a big conference in Minneapolis, VCon. Tens of thousands of people went to see celebrities like Snoop Dogg and others promoting NFTs. It's a con game. It's a con game. And the people who own them need you to think they're still valuable. Otherwise, they're stuck with those Beanie Babies, new in case, and they've lost a lot of money. So be very skeptical if somebody comes to you and says, oh, no, this is the next best thing. It's going to transform the world. You watch. I will get emails. I will probably get calls today. All these people say, oh, no, you don't understand. It was on the Super Bowl. Remember Larry David? He just didn't get it. He was a boomer. Okay, boomer, you don't get it. Well, guess what? We boomers have been around enough to recognize a con when we see one. Do not fall for this. And Seth, I'm sorry, but Bored Ape 8398 is gone forever. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number, 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. No, I have never made an NFT, and, God willing, never will. We'll take your calls next. Text me in the morning, but we don't have a text number. It's not a cell phone, so please don't text Kim Schaffer. She's the phone angel. Hello, Kim.
Good
day.
I'm always reluctant to say morning because I do know that it's daytime in some of the places we air. So.
It's really, unless you're listening in Hawaii, we're pretty much the last people that make it the morning.
Correct, sir.
Yeah.
So you were watching the race before you got here?
You know what? I love, I know this is like a big race day because we've got the Indy 500 coming up. But in the morning, it was the Monaco Grand Prix, the F1. And I always like to watch that because we stayed in the hotel once many years ago that's on the hairpin turn, the Fairmont Monte Carlo. So I know those streets. Man.
You can drive those.
I've walked those streets, man. And I've never driven them. I've ridden in a double-decker bus on them. But I've never driven them. Anyway, it's fun to watch. And I love, they've got an announcer, David Croft. They call him Crofty, who makes it, a lot of racing, Formula One even, is kind of dull. Just people, going around in a circle. Yeah. But he makes it so exciting. And I love it because he starts the races. The way they start a Formula One race, the lights go out, not on. It's not like a green light. It's like red light, red light, red light, red light, off, and then you go, which is, Formula One. It's European. It's different. But Crofty goes, it needs lights out in Portugal. And I love the way he does it.
So do they do it at nighttime?
No. They do it usually in the afternoon. Sometimes at night. In the Middle East, they do it in Bahrain, places where it's so hot during the day that they have to do it at night. But in Monaco, it was a 3 p.m. start, except it started raining.
Rain delay.
Rain delay. And it's so funny because we're used to rain delay. That happens all the time in baseball.
Yeah.
The announcers make no big deal about it, but the poor Crofties, I'm so sorry. I know you tuned in and you took time out of your day to watch this race, and we're sitting here and it's raining. It was like
that would be me. Over apologetic.
He was over apologetic. It was pretty funny. Who should I start?
You just mentioned Portugal, so let's go to John in Villarreal de Santo Antonio.
I want to go to Villarreal de Santo Antonio. Hi, John. Thank you very much, Kim. Hi, John.
Hey, Leo. How's it going?
It's good. Are you an expat or are you traveling?
I'm an expat,
Nice.
and I called you before. I called you before my process of moving over here, and we talked about.
I remember that. So how's it been now? You've been there how long?
About almost a year.
And you're happy with the choice? You retired there.
Oh gosh, yeah, it's wonderful. Portugal is very sweet.
I was looking for no apparent reason at the safest countries to move to in the world, and Portugal's right up there. I think it's number 3. Iceland, something in Portugal, Japan, maybe Portugal. So you're in a safe place. Your dollar goes farther. People are warm and wonderful. The food is great. Sun is shining. What could go wrong? Are you in the Algarve in Villarreal de San Antonio?
Yes, we are right on the Guadiana River, which is right on the Spanish border.
Beautiful. But, you can live in paradise, ladies and gentlemen, but your technology is still going to break. So what can I do for you?
And that's what we got going on. We have very, very affordable internet access, fiber for gigabit fiber for $30.
Wow.
30 euros. It's just awesome. But unfortunately, you have to pay for tech support when you call them. Right. And I just loathe to call anybody. But it's so cheap that's an okay trade-off.
It's cheaper, though, to call the tech guy. So that's what you're...
It's cheaper to call you. But they couldn't help me with this anyway. So what I've done is I wanted to set up a failover router. It's a little bit out of my depth.
Yeah.
On the IT side, because I have 2 internet connections.
Beautiful.
I got one for free with my phone.
Beautiful.
And then it doesn't flake all the time, but sometimes I trade stocks and stuff like that. You want real consistent.
So you really need a router that understands failover. That's the trick.
Yeah, I got one. It's a TP-Link TL-R470T. And I was configuring it. The question I had is can I do dynamic IP assignments with those, or do I need to find the PPOE? I don't even know PPOE and DHCP.
Okay, PPOE has nothing to do with it. It's just power over Ethernet. So some routers you don't have to plug into the power wall. You plug them into an Ethernet jack that has power. DHCP is relevant. So when you fail over. So that's an interesting question. I hadn't really thought about it. The router is handling DHCP completely independently of the internet service provider. So nothing should change except that your packets, instead of coming from ISP A, are coming from ISP B. The IP addresses and everything should remain the same. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. That's why... Oh, it's PPOE. I thought it was POE. PPPPOE. Too many peers, too many P's.
Yeah, and it's like uppercase, lowercase.
Yeah. I got it. So if you've got a TP-Link that has two WAN ports, two ways to get data in, and it's smart enough to know if one goes dead, fail over to the other one. That's what you need, failover. Yep. It should handle everything else.
There's a failover setting in it. It's got 4 ports, and you can assign. Beauty. It's got up to 4 WAN ports, and you can assign which ones are WAN.
You're great.
And then you tell it. But I didn't understand if I could do the dynamic IP because I can't afford a static.
I see. Okay, so to the inside world, everything's the same because the router is not changing any assignments. But you're right. Your IP address is now different. Your public IP address, because that comes from the ISP. So suddenly your public IP address will change. This isn't really something the internal guys need to know about unless you have a server. Are you running a server?
No, that's where it got. That's where it got a little, kind of like IT professional look and stuff.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, now, usually you would have something like this and then hook it to a switch and then go across these networks and stuff. And I was just
you're overcomplicating.
Right
if you had a web server internally on the network, right? You've set up the router to say, hey, if any traffic comes over port 80 or 443, the web ports, go to the server. That's fine, and that won't change. But if somebody's surfing to you, they're going to, johnsvillareal.com. That in the DNS setup, in the DNS phone book is to a particular address, the address of your main IP, ISP.
Sure.
But now it's going to be a new address. So somebody surfing to your server will have a problem because they won't. And there are ways to fix this with something called Dyn DNS. But you're not running a server.
No. I'm just trying to get really consistent internet, and I'm not even trying to do load balancing because the main title of this router is load balance.
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't even care about combining the bandwidth.
Right.
But there is a failover setting when you go in, log into the router. Good. And then go in.
Should just work.
Mission side and
should just work. But you can try it. You can unplug one and see what happens. You're right. Your public visibility has changed. Your IP address has changed. That shouldn't make much of a difference. It'd be kind of like using a VPN on a machine inside the network. Suddenly, your IP address is going to change. What does that affect? Well, anybody who's associating you to your IP address, but most people don't do that anymore. They use cookies and other systems. So it only matters to inbound traffic that says, well, no, wait a minute. John's here and you aren't. You're over there. But if you don't have any inbound traffic, if you're not doing a server, it shouldn't impact you. I can't think of any other. Maybe somebody in the chat room will come up with a scenario, but I can't think of any other scenario where that would be. You would have
so that's what those settings are for. It's more for advanced kind of inbound traffic stuff.
If you don't know, for instance, this is typical for people who don't pay for static addresses from their internet service provider. So my internet service provider might at random change my IP address. Well, if I've got a server, that's problematic. So you use something called Dyn DNS, which automatically senses the change and communicates that to the outside world. Oh, my IP address has changed. If you're surfing to my website, this is the address now. It's not an issue unless you're hosting video games, you're hosting a web server, a mail server, anything like that, where people are coming into you. You wouldn't worry about it. But just try it. Unplug it and see what happens.
Wasn't that fun? That F1 race, wasn't it great today?
Hey, don't tell me. I only saw the first half.
Oh, that's what I mean. This is one of the first times I was able to watch it live.
Yeah, I know. That's the only problem. It's at 6 a.m. here.
No spoiler alerts. I almost did. But Crofty talking about the rain.
Love it. Well, I'm so sorry that everybody took their day off to see it. Oh, I apologize.
He was more worried because he didn't have Martin Brundle was like.
I know.
Ribbing him because he's like, what? You don't have a hotel or something?
He literally had to get out that night. It's hysterical. Anyway, don't tell me. Hey, it's good to talk to you. I'm so glad you're having fun.
No spoilers.
No spoilers. Our show today brought to you by CashFly. As it always is, CashFly is our CDN, our content delivery network. And we know how good CashFly is because we've been using them for more than a decade, really pretty much since we first began. Back in the way back days when we first started doing podcasts, you may remember some of our podcasts were courtesy of AOL. They stored it. That's how long ago this was. Or other places or on our own hard drive. And after a while, we started using BitTorrent and so forth. But when Matt Levine of CashFly, who's one of their founders, came to me and said, we can do a better job, I listened. And boy, was he right. CashFly has been a boon for our network. In fact, it's going to be a boon for anybody who serves content over the internet. What do we love about CashFly? Well, with over 50 points of presence all over the world, we know our listeners, our viewers, are getting copies of these podcasts from servers that are near them. That's good. That means they get it faster. It also means because every server has its own copy, if something goes wrong, it doesn't fail, it goes to the next nearest server and gets it from there. So we know that they're very reliable. They have other services too you might want to check out, like their ultra-low latency video streaming. That's amazing, which less than 1 second latency. You can have literally millions of viewers. Incredible. They also have something we've been using for a while, storage optimization system, which increases it to 100%. So that saves you money in outside server costs. It's really an amazing solution. CacheFly, ultra-low latency video streaming, lightning-fast gaming, mobile content optimization, so images are loading faster on any device. Multiple CDNs, which means redundancy, and failover intelligently balances your traffic across multiple providers 10 times faster than traditional methods. It's on 6 continents, 30% faster than other major CDNs, 98% cache hit ratio, 100% availability, and 24/7, 365 priority support. It's CacheFly. Get a complimentary detailed analysis of your current CDN bill and usage trends. See if they can do for you what they've done for us. You might even be overpaying as much as 20% or more. Go to twit.cachefly.com. Thank you, CacheFly. We really appreciate all you do for us. twit.cachefly.com. It's time to talk automotive with our friend Sam Abuelsamid. This is a big day for motorsports. F1 this morning. The big Indy 500 this afternoon. But that's not what we're here to talk about because we don't want to give any spoilers because I know you're all listening to this show, not watching motorsports. Hi, Sam.
Hi, Leo. How are you this week?
I am great. Principal researcher at Guidehouse Insights. He also has a wonderful car podcast at wheelbearings.media. Let me say, I always like to see what you're sitting in front of. It looks like a very nice Kia. Is that an EV?
It is. That is the Kia EV6. This past week, I drove to Wisconsin. I'm a member of the Midwest Automotive Media Association, and they hold an annual event every year, the week before Memorial Day, at Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. And they have about a dozen or so automakers bring out, this year they brought out about 70 cars. Trucks and SUVs, and we got to evaluate them all back to back. Some we got to drive on the track, and most on the street, and some off road. But I decided to take the opportunity to do an EV road trip. Since it's about, from my house to Road America is about 395 miles each way. And so I asked for a Kia EV6 from the press fleet to use for this one because I haven't driven the EV6 previously, and wanted to see what the charging experience was going to be like. One of the things from talking to some of my friends live in various parts of the country that have been evaluating EVs and listening to some of the comments from various EV owners around the country. There's been a lot of complaints from various places about charging stations that were not functioning properly or charging slowly or having various other challenges with them. And so I wanted to see what this charging experience was going to be like on this road trip. The EV6 all-wheel drive version that I had has a EPA-rated range of 274 miles. And since it's almost 400 miles to Elkhart Lake, I figured it'd be a good opportunity. I'd have to do some charging along the way. And one of the things I learned from this particular experience is that while the experience of road tripping with an EV has gotten a lot better, it's probably still best right now with a Tesla and the supercharger network. That is the most comprehensive network right now. But as more and more charging stations have been installed, especially from Electrify America, the experience is getting better for EV owners that want to take long trips. But it also does still require more planning than you would do with an internal combustion vehicle. If you're driving a gasoline or even a diesel vehicle, you can pretty much count on being able to find fuel almost everywhere that you're going to go. It's about 120,000 roughly fuel stations around the country. And you can also be fairly confident that no matter which gas station you stop at, it's going to take you roughly the same amount of time to fill the tank with gas. Usually about 3 to 5, maybe 6, 7 minutes. Depending on how big your tank is.
Just enough time to run in, get a Slim Jim and a big slurp, and come out.
And a bio break.
Yeah.
Of course, you got to drain the bladder too. That's a fairly consistent experience, no matter where you go in the country. The same is not true with EVs. While the number of, especially DC fast charging stations, has increased dramatically over the last several years, the experience is far from consistent. Up until Electrify America started deploying their stations about 3 years ago, most of the fast chargers that were non-Tesla fast chargers. So Tesla's currently got 2 levels of fast chargers. They've got their old version 2 chargers that'll charge it up to 150 kilowatts, and their newer version 3, which they're gradually deploying across the network, that'll go up to 250 kilowatts. Electrify America was the first network to start doing chargers with up to 350 kilowatts of charging power. And the kilowatt rating is how fast it can pump electrons into your battery. So it's basically kind of the flow rate for the electrons. You can think of it that way. And if you're looking at most of the other networks, companies like ChargePoint, EVgo, Blink, various others, mostly what you're going to find is most of them are still limited to about 50 kilowatts, which means it's a lot slower to put energy into your battery. At 50 kilowatts with the EV6, I think that works out to about adding about 145 miles of range per hour. So if you're doing a 400-mile trip and you need to do a near full charge on your battery, you're looking at potentially well over an hour at 50 kilowatts sitting there at the charger.
So that's why you would want to time it where you could go eat lunch, maybe do some shopping, maybe go to a movie,
Yeah, so
Although
what you want to do is...
you can't leave your car after it's fully charged unattended. They'll start charging you for parking.
Right, because they want people, once your EV's charged, they want you to move it so that somebody else can use the charger.
So your phone, you'll have an app and your phone will say, you're getting close, you're almost there. Okay, you're fully charged. To give you warning, you go out, you move your car, and you finish the rest of the movie. But this is kind of the downside. Now the good news is for most people, this never comes up because how often you go on a road trip, most of your trips are short.
Exactly.
I start every day. If I wanted to, I could start every day with a full tank because I
and that's what most people are going to do is they're charging overnight at home. And so you start with a full battery every morning.
But the road trip is relevant, if you're especially if you're buying I know you're driving a Lightning soon or a Rivian. If you're buying a pickup truck and you're towing a boat, going up to the lake, all of this becomes, an issue.
It certainly does. And as an example, I was driving the EV6. I stopped, when I stopped in Milwaukee on my way home, I got into the charging station with about 10% charge, and I charged it up to 94% in about 26 minutes. Which is really good. I mean, that was charging a little over 220 kilowatts. The maximum for the EV6 is about 240. So it was pretty close to the maximum charging rate. So that worked out well. But then I had to think about where I was going to stop. Because I was doing almost all highway driving. I'm not getting much regen, and to get back to Kalamazoo, Michigan, where there was another 350 kilowatt charger, it was about 250 miles. And that was about what I had available as range in the EV6. And so what I opted to do was, rather than risk running out of juice, because I wasn't sure how much reserve there was going to be in there, I made a quick stop in Chicago at 150 kilowatt Electrify America station for about 7 minutes, which gave me about another 80 miles of range. So I had plenty of buffer to get to my next stop. So these are the kinds of things that you have to think about if you're going to take an EV road trip. And this also applies even if you're driving a Tesla. You still have to think about, because the superchargers, while there's about 1,300 of them right now across the country, they're not necessarily everywhere. Like where I was in Elkhart Lake, the closest DC fast charger was a Tesla supercharger 35 miles away.
Yeah.
And the closest CCS charger was in Milwaukee, 50 miles away. So I had to make sure when I got to Elkhart Lake, I had enough charge to get back to Milwaukee. So because there's no other public chargers in that area. So especially rural areas, you have to be more careful about where you're going, planning ahead to make sure you have enough juice.
Well, I really enjoyed Uncle Sam's story about his road trip. Bottom line, you should consider this before you buy an EV. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Sam Abuelsamid, principal researcher, Guidehouse Insights. Awesome. Let me pull up your picture.
And speaking of racing, next weekend, next Saturday and Sunday,
Are you racing?
I will not be racing, but I will be hanging out at the races at the Detroit Grand Prix.
Oh, fun!
So I will be down in Belle Isle on Saturday and Sunday.
So
all
we'll
day
miss
long.
you. So I take it that means no segment.
That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
Great. What kind of race is the Detroit Grand Prix?
They have. Let's see. It's generally they have 2 IndyCar races, one on Saturday, one on Sunday, and also an IMSA sports car race on Saturday.
Oh,
and this year they've also added an Indy Lights race, I think on Sunday morning for the Indy Lights cars.
Fun.
So
Are you
the
there in an
training
official
series.
capacity or just for fun?
Just for fun, hanging out with some of my other media friends at the Honda hospitality booth.
Well, that sounds like fun. That's awesome. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll miss you next week, but I think you're going to be having a good time.
Yeah, as long as it's not pouring rain, which it has done on occasion, it's usually a good time.
They race in the rain or no?
It depends on how hard it's raining.
Right. Okay.
So if it's coming down really hard, then they stop. They wait. They may red flag the race or delay the race. Because even with rain
Monaco.
tires,
God, it's dangerous.
Visibility is really tough. And the Belle Isle race is also kind of a street course as well.
Okay.
And so they won't race if it's coming down too hard.
Right.
But light rain they will definitely run in light rain.
Fun.
The only time they don't is at ovals like Indianapolis.
Right.
Because you can't run in the rain on an oval like that.
Yeah. Cool.
So let's see what else I had. One other thing I wanted to bring up was about a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago, there was a story that popped up on social media and a little video clip that showed up with somebody recorded a Tesla crashing into a Cirrus Vision jet at an airport.
Oh yeah.
So
this
is a
slow
this
motion
is
crash because it was
Yeah, so the owner of the Tesla was using the summon mode on the Tesla. And this is a mode that's part of the full self-driving package that is nominally supposed to allow you to retrieve your car from a parking space and have it drive to you. So you have to press the button on the app on your phone and hold it, and you're supposed to be watching the car as it's doing this, and then it's supposed to be able to navigate around obstacles. Well, in this case, it did not navigate around this airplane. It just drove straight into it as if it was not even there.
I can get under that.
and so I shared this story with the guys, the hosts at the Airplane Geeks podcast, where Micah from Maine hangs out a lot, because one of the hosts there is a flight instructor that specializes in Cirrus aircraft and spends a lot of time flying the Vision jet. I thought they might find it interesting.
Yeah.
So I will tell the rest of the story at the next break.
You only have a few seconds left. But so that's a cliffhanger, kids.
Yep. So stay tuned.
I had a summon on my Model X, and I never dared use it. Of course, this was some years ago. I imagine it's better now, but it always
the
made
only
me
time I
nervous.
would consider using it is if you're in a tight parking spot or a garage and you're just pulling it straight out or straight in.
Yeah. You can't get into the car. All right, we'll see you in the top, right?
Okay. Yep.
Stay tuned. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. Tom on the line from Jacksonville, Florida, our next caller. Hi, Tom.
Hey, Leo. It is great to talk to you.
Well, it's great to have you. What you said you own a small business. What's your business?
I'm a cat behavior consultant.
Oh, that's cool. I need you. I need you badly.
My problem is that I don't have a lot of money to spend on advertising, and when I look at my options online, I am just confused and baffled. I mean, between people using ad blockers to block, a lot of ads, and companies that I don't really agree with, like Facebook, let's say, and like the confusing sort of parameters put forth by Google, where you don't really know exactly what you're getting for what you're spending. It's all really confusing. And I thought I would call you because, I mean, you obviously have seen both sides of this picture, because you accept ads as well as place ads. And I just wonder what your opinion is as to what is the best value out there for someone who's trying to reach a narrow audience.
Well, my wife is going to hate me for saying this. She sells the ads on our podcasts. But the most efficient ads you can buy are the Facebook and the Google ads. And this is all because Facebook and Google know exactly who they're advertising to. For instance, you don't want to buy an ad that somebody who doesn't own a cat sees. I mean, maybe, this person might recommend it to their sister who does have a crazy cat, but, and I'm sure we don't call them crazy, but.
No, that's not the term.
It's funny you should call, because this morning my wife said, I've never had such crazy cats, but but we'll save that discussion for another time. So
let's just say that they're not, as an animal, as a species, they're not fully domesticated.
Yes, that's pretty clear.
A lot of people don't quite grasp.
And they also have attitude. So our cat wants to look out the window. So and she's 20-some pounds. She's very big. So she'll get up on furniture and she's clumsy, knocks stuff over on dressers and things to get to the window so she can sit there and stare at the birds. I know what's going on. It's fine with me, but it is disturbing in the middle of the night when you hear this big crash.
Well, unfortunately, the best thing to do, that a lot of people don't want to hear, is to not put those things in their way.
That's exactly right, because you're not going to change the cat. That's the truth.
No. Yeah. I mean, if the noise of the thing crashing doesn't bother them, they're not going to change their behavior.
Exactly.
You can, though. I always tell people that the best thing is to reinforce an alternative behavior.
Exactly. So we have lots of...
give them a better place to sit.
Exactly.
Out the window, they might choose that.
That's what we do. We have lots of play structures for the cats.
Yes.
Sigh. Anyway, I love cats, and I don't mind, and I know this is how they are, and it's fine. It's kind of fun to have a not fully domesticated wild animal in your home who would, given the opportunity, eat you, compared to a dog who just wants nothing more than your love.
And dogs have been bred for behaviors.
Right. Cats good luck.
Yeah.
Anyway, to get to your question, although I think you have an excellent business, Facebook probably would be a really good place for you, because you could literally on Facebook, in fact, this was interesting to watch political campaigns discover this, chiefly in 2012 and 2016. You can spend $100. I mean, these are campaigns spending millions of dollars, but if you looked at their purchases, they were all $100 purchases because they were highly targeted. So you can go into Facebook, say, I want a cat owner who lives in this area. You probably know something about your perfect client, so you can even narrow it down more. Sure. And so these are very efficient buys because of what Facebook and Google works the same way, what Facebook and Google know about you. Now, the problem with Google compared to Facebook is Google's very smart about this, and they'd actually do a weird auction system for keywords. So
that's what's so confusing.
Yeah. So let's say you wanted to buy cat behavior, as your keywords in search. Now, this, if you can get it, this is really good because we know instead of targeting people, we're just seeing people who are searching for your services. So and by the way, we do this for our shows. We will buy keywords, but the price of the keyword is not fixed. There's an auction, and the better the keyword, and the more competition you have to buy that keyword, the higher the price is going to be. Nevertheless, these are still buying search, and Google calls this AdSense. Buying search keywords is really powerful. Again, you're getting somebody at the point where they're deciding, they're making a purchase. And so that's ideal time to get them. So Facebook,
it's not just blasting out to all cat owners, but cat owners that are looking because they have a problem.
Exactly. So that's the advantage Google has over Facebook. Facebook has the advantage. It's going kind of the other way. It's saying, let's really narrow it down to people of this type. But Facebook can do some really interesting things. For instance, if you already have a mailing list of clients, which I'm sure you do, and these are people love your services and want your services, you can literally send Facebook that mailing list with those addresses, and they will then deliver to you a list of people, not those people, but people just like those people. So you don't even have to know in your head what makes the perfect client. You just know these are good clients. They subscribe to my mailing list. I know they really want my services. And Facebook can actually say, well, people like this, here's another 100 people like that. And you don't even know what it is that makes them, maybe they wear orange shoes. You don't know what it is that makes them perfect. But Facebook knows because of this commonality. So there are two different things. But I would say, and by the way, they are eating the vast majority of digital advertising goes to these two companies for this reason. They're very efficient and it works very well. So
let me ask you this, just to clarify, because I do virtual consults. I'm not, based
just like everybody now.
Area.
So you have a national or international audience. That's great.
Right. Since Zoom, everybody's familiar with Zoom now.
Yeah.
It's much easier. I find the barrier to entry is much lower than it used to be.
Although it's harder to be a cat whisperer over Zoom. You just can't get them to wear the headphones, I find.
Well, I will say this, though. It's easier sometimes to see the genuine behavior if I'm not in the home.
Yes, that's right.
My presence really
immediately affects it. That's a very good point. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think you've got a great business. You're right. You're now competing, but this is the world in the internet. Even if you just made dishes, I'm a potter. I make beautiful clayware. It used to be I was only competing against the people within a mile of my studio. Right. Now I'm competing against every person in the world who makes pottery. Yes. That's a very different world. So every business is.
My concern with Facebook is Facebook seems to be a lot of small businesses and business owners like myself tend to use Facebook for local because they can pinpoint local. But from what you're saying, it sounds like they can do better than that.
Oh, it's still very efficient. Yeah. At least it eliminates people who don't have cats. So that's 50% of your. There's a famous adage from an admin many years ago who says, I know that 50% of my ads work. I just don't know which 50%.
Right. That's exactly right. And I can't afford to just throw money around like Coca-Cola or Apple or somebody.
Right. So what they're doing is something called brand advertising, where they know if we if we just get people to think Coca-Cola, we're going to sell more Coca-Cola. Especially since they have a commodity product. Their product is almost indistinguishable from other soda pops. So brand is really important to them. Apple, same thing. But you're not selling a brand. You're selling a service that's very specific. So this is the opposite of brand advertising. This is targeted advertising. And I think it's going to be by far the most efficient thing for you to do. And I've never heard anybody, and I've read a lot on this, and I try to sell ads on radio and podcasts. I've never heard anybody beat Google and Facebook, ever. Wow. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, it's pretty clear. Now, I understand it's complicated. So you kind of have to. There are books.
Google is more complicated than Facebook.
Yeah, there are books on how to buy AdWords. I would buy because the auction is complicated and actually, do you have a website?
I do. It's at kittyhelpdesk.com.
Good name, Kitty Help Desk. So you have from your Google Analytics, Google will help you determine what search terms work for you. So they will help you. But you're right. There's a steep learning curve. Facebook's a little easier. It's just you just go in, you say, I want this, this, and this. But it's worth learning AdWords and how Google does the auction and how you can glean insights from your website into who you're looking for.
That's the part I really had no clue about when you were talking about, what Facebook could do with an email list. I really didn't know that was even possible.
Oh, it's scary what Facebook can do.
Wow.
Honestly.
Okay.
It's good for business owners.
I don't particularly want to patronize Facebook, to be honest with you.
Well, do Google then. Yeah, do Google. Google's very effective. It's just a steeper learning curve. Yeah. Because you're getting people who are looking for cat behavior therapists.
Right.
But then you're going to be competing in the price for other people buying those keywords. That's the trick.
Sure.
And choosing the keyword is maybe not as intuitive as I'm making it sound. That's why it's really important to understand. And you've got insights from the Google Analytics on your website, and that you want to use those insights. That's very valuable.
Okay. All right.
I think you're in a good business. You're in a great business. It's fun.
Thank you. I've learned a lot from you. I'll be honest. I pay attention. I've been a fan of yours since the Tech TV days.
Oh, thanks, Tom.
And I have really paid attention to how you speak the language of the student, not the teacher.
Oh.
And that's something I try to do every single day. And I think you're a prime example of how well that works.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I guess that makes sense because that's what you need to do. That's what you need to do.
Yeah, if I talk about scientific terms about behavior and psychology, people are going to just blank out. They don't want to listen to that. I have to really be able to speak in a way to each person, each individual, really. What are they? Yeah. Where are they? I have to meet them where they are.
So you studied animal behavior in school?
Yes.
How fascinating.
Applied animal behavior.
Applied animal behavior. Wow. Fascinating.
It's a wonderful job. I love it every day.
I'm telling you, I'm going to give this address to Lisa. kittyhelpdesk.com. Nice to meet you, Tom. Sure. And thanks for the kind words. That's really nice.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. And now, ladies and gentlemen, guess who? Sam Abuelsamid on electriceVhelpdesk.com. Go ahead, Sam.
All right, so let me finish the story. I just dropped a link in the chat to an image. So the week after the Airplane Geeks guys talked about what I had sent them on the show, the following episode, they got a follow-up from a Tesla owner who also happens to be a pilot. And he wanted to see what would happen. He took his Tesla on the tarmac at his local airport, pulled up behind his plane, and had the FSD feature turned on, so that when you're using it, it shows you on the screen of the car what things the system, the full self-driving system, is seeing with its sensors, which are just a bunch of cameras. And if you look at the picture, you can see that you're looking out the windshield. There's an airplane sitting directly in front of him with 3 cones around it.
All it sees is
on the screen. All it sees is the 3 cones. It does not see the airplane. And this is one of the fundamental flaws with Tesla's approach, which is that they're using cameras only for self-driving, and they're also using a full end-to-end AI machine learning system without any deterministic algorithms. So algorithms that actually measure things, and aren't relying on inference. And so what happens is, because they didn't train their system to recognize aircraft, because they don't expect to encounter aircraft on the road, it just ignores it. It doesn't even see it as being there. And that's a bad thing. This is why in addition to cameras, which are passive sensors, which are measuring the reflected light off of an object that it sees, you also need active sensors like radar or LiDAR, or some other any other type of active sensor that sends out its own signal and measures the reflection and can actually tell where there's an object there, because it gets that reflection, and exactly how far away that object is and how fast it's moving and what direction it's moving. And you need to use both of these things. You need both AI and deterministic approaches, because even though a car on the road is probably not going to encounter an aircraft on the road in front of it very frequently, hopefully not at all, it still needs to be able to recognize that there's actually something there. Because as we all know, anybody that's driven knows you will see things on the road that shouldn't be there for whatever reason. And so as a result, even if you don't necessarily know what it is, you have to know that there is something there and how far away it is, and be able to take appropriate action, either hit the brakes and stop or steer around it or whatever. You don't want to run into things that shouldn't be there. And this is why why I remain fairly certain that the approach that Tesla is taking will never be entirely successful. Let's see. Maverick 56 is asking me, is there anything good Tesla does compared to other EV manufacturers? Absolutely. As I said earlier in the chat, Tesla has done an enormous service to the world in legitimizing the EV as something that can be an appealing vehicle in its own right, regardless of what the propulsion system is, regardless of what kind of energy it's using. They popularized the EV. They've also shown the world how to do modern electronic architectures in vehicles and the benefits of doing software-defined vehicles, having software that is updatable and having an electronic architecture that can be safely updated. They've done amazing things with that. The way that they have deployed their supercharger network is a model for the rest of the industry. Some companies like Electrify America are trying to emulate that, but their network is still not as reliable as Tesla's is, and it's not quite as widespread yet. It's getting there, it's catching up, but it's not as good. And the other companies need to do better. Tesla is still doing a lot of things better than other manufacturers when it comes to EVs. Now, when it comes to automated driving, it's a totally different story. I totally disagree with the approach Tesla is taking and what Elon Musk has been promoting for that. And I think that they're fundamentally wrong in putting beta software into customer hands and relying on untrained regular drivers to test safety critical software systems. This is not something any ethical engineer should ever do. This is something, sorry about that. Just had to swat a fly that landed next to me. This is something that engineers that are working on this stuff and technicians working on this stuff should be testing. Out of Sync says Tesla batteries and motors are years ahead of anyone else. I think their motors and their power electronics are very efficient. I would not necessarily agree that their batteries are years ahead, especially the stuff they have in production. They're good, but they're not necessarily significantly better. And Tesla is actually
motors that makes them so efficient. That's
the motors are very efficient, but so is the power electronics that does the conversion between AC and DC.
And is that proprietary? Is that something others can't duplicate?
No, others are starting to duplicate that. In fact, the Hyundais and Kias are also using the same kind of silicon carbide MOSFETs in their power electronics that are at about 8 to 10% more better efficiency in that power conversion. So that helps them get better range.
So he focused on that early on, and now they're starting to learn about that.
Lucid's doing the same thing as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Sam.
You're welcome.
Have a great week.
I will talk to you in 2 weeks.
Have fun at the race.
Thanks.
Take care. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Yeah, time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number, 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or the Canadian region of the Great Northwest or East. Outside that area, though, you have to use Skype out to call me. 8888 Ask Leo. Greg's on the line from, speaking of the Great White North, New Brunswick, Canada. Hello, Greg.
Hey, good afternoon, Leo.
Good to talk to you. Welcome.
Hey, oh, good, no problem.
What's going on in New Brunswick that you would need to call me?
Yeah, well, actually, my father has got some issues right now with his computer. I'm going to describe it as best as I can, and then I'll ask the question after that.
Okay, sure.
So this all happened like yesterday when first when we reinstalled like Windows, Office was gone. So what my father had to do was wanted to like quote install Office, but he had to like use a new like email account that was not associated with his or my mother's accounts at best. So he did that. Then all of a sudden sound didn't work, so he had to mess around with it, and he unplugged the speakers, and this was earlier this morning, and then it required a reboot. Then all of a sudden the computer ended up being locked. Now he removed all the administrator codes, and then this is where we get into a bit of an issue. So basically what happened is that he said like he forgot his PIN, and then what we were trying to do is we were trying to recover the account. It said gmailin57@outlook.com. That was the one associated with Office. So apparently we tried to. It was asking for administrator password, and apparently that was something that didn't exist, let alone the email account that did not quote exist. So what we tried to do was we did this on my father's Gmail account and then mine. We reset the password, the code verification. We did that. But even then, it still asked us to verify. So I don't know how that could happen.
So did he buy Office online? He bought the downloadable version of Office. Is that what happened?
He's running Office 2016.
Oh, so it's not a current version. So he has the discs?
I think he had the license or something, which is what it is.
Okay.
But here's my...
And he associated it with his Microsoft account, or he created a new email and a new Microsoft account, or?
He created a new one that would be used for quote Office. But here's my question. I want to know whether or not if my father can bypass the administrator codes on the Microsoft account that he's trying to recover so that he can like get back to his desktop and use Office 2016. Is there a way?
I'm trying to understand exactly what's going on. So can he log into the computer at this point?
No, he's locked.
Hold on. Just answer my questions. So he can't log into the computer. He's running Windows 10?
Yeah, 10, the latest version.
So he can't. So when he goes to the computer and he types, what account is he trying to get into? His own account?
He's trying to get into his account.
Has he
Office?
Okay. Well, Office is different than Windows. So when he's logging into Windows, he has to use the login that he got into Windows in the first place, that when he set up Windows.
Yeah, and
that's a Microsoft account almost always. So in which case he can go to another computer, log into his Microsoft account, and say, I've forgotten my login for my computer. If he's used a local account, that's another matter entirely. Did he use, and that's what I need to know, is did he use a local account or a Microsoft account to set up Windows 10? How old is the computer?
It's somewhat old, but... So
it came with Windows 7 and he upgraded to Windows 10?
Yeah, and then we reinstalled it. We reinstalled it with a clean installation.
Oh, good. Okay, so you did a clean install of Windows 10 at some point?
Yes.
Were you there?
I was there to...
So you understand what happened then. That's what I need to know if you know. When he set it up, to install Windows 10 with a local account, you have to disable the internet. You have to go through some hoops. So presumably, unless he did that, he set up Windows 10 with a Microsoft account.
Yeah, it was the internet connection, and then apparently he disabled all the admin.
You can't disable admin accounts. If you logged in with I'm still trying to get the lay of the land here. If he logged in with a Microsoft account, he can get that recovered. That's one of the reasons they've pushed people to use that instead of, in the old days of Windows, you just make up a name, Leo, and you'd make up a password, monkey123, and that's your login to Windows. Those days are pretty much gone. They want you to do it with a Microsoft account. And the main reason they want to do that is, at least according to them, is for this very thing, is if people forget their passwords, they can recover it by going to their Microsoft account. So, go ahead.
Which we tried, which we tried doing. We tried password resetting, code verification, but it still asked me to verify, or still asked my father's account to verify in his Gmail account.
This Gmail account, is it a Microsoft account that he used the Gmail address for?
No, he used it on his. It's his Google.
You can. Oh, wait a minute. Say again.
It's his Google account.
Okay, but you can use your Google email address for your Microsoft account.
Yeah, to recover.
Well, no. You have to have. You can't recover anything unless you used a Microsoft account to set it up. Okay. So it's still unclear what he did, and also this thing about him disabling administrators is puzzling as well. Yeah. Is the Gmail a backup email address? Because that's not going to help much.
It says, where should we contact you? And it says, enter the email address that's different from the one you're trying to recover.
Yes, okay. So that's the recovery. Yeah, that's the backup address. Yeah.
That's the backup, yeah.
So you tried the reset password and you couldn't do it.
Yeah, we tried doing that on the laptop that I'm running.
So there is the next step is there is a recovery form you have to do. Okay. And I think that's the main thing you want to do. Account.live.com /ACSR.
Yep, I went on to that.
Okay. And you went through, it says, what Microsoft account are you trying to get back into? Now, make sure you don't use that backup address for that. Use the first address, the official Microsoft email address. And then that's where it's saying, give me the backup address. And that's where you give it the backup address. And you did all that. And then what happened?
We did.
Yeah.
So apparently, then it said when we reset the password and then we verify the code, and then all of a sudden it says it still asked my father to verify the Gmail account. It's basically an endless loop.
Yeah. The old endless loop problem.
Yeah.
Is there stuff on that computer that he can't afford to lose?
Office 2016.
Well, but see, this is my concern is how he installed that. It's a little suspicious, this Microsoft Office 2016. If he doesn't have the discs, he was able to download it. Yeah?
I think that's what
Is he sure it's not a pirated version of Office?
No, it was the one that he used previously before we did the clean install to reset. So
then you can reinstall it. If he has the serial number, he can reinstall it.
Yeah.
The real thing he wants to do at this point is see if he can get his forget Office for the moment.
Okay.
Trying to figure out what's going on with your Microsoft account and maybe do this on a different computer.
Yeah.
See if he can log in to his Microsoft, Outlook.com using his Microsoft account. That's the first thing to do. The computer seems like there's something going on with it that makes me a little suspect. So do this on a different computer or your phone even. Go to Outlook.com and see if you can use that Microsoft account to log in. If he can, hallelujah. Good. Then the next question is, can he reinstall Office Does he have a legit serial number? If he can, then what I would do is wipe the computer, reinstall Windows, log in using your Microsoft account that you have verified. Now you're good and you're golden, you're in, and reinstall Office, and I think you'll be good. I'm a little nervous about where he got this Office 2016. Make sure, that's the question is, do you have an official license key? But if and then again, I wouldn't use this computer to try to reactivate your Microsoft account. It sounds like this computer something's going on. 8888 ask Leo if you have any suggestions. It's hard for me to know, Greg, what's going on exactly. Maybe this has happened to somebody else and they can call or join our chat room, irc.twit.tv. We'll see if we can find an answer for you. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I'm not sure. I'm puzzled about what's going on, Greg.
Yeah.
I don't quite understand why you're getting this loop. So that's why I want I guess the first thing I would do is see if that he got a password for his Microsoft account. See if he can reactivate his Microsoft account on another system, just to make sure he can go to Outlook.com and log in.
Yeah.
Nowadays, what Microsoft does is they send you an authentication notice, an authenticator.
Yeah.
If you can get that to work, then try using that Microsoft login on that computer, not with the Gmail address. Don't use that. That's a recovery address. Use the Microsoft address.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And then he should be, if you verify that it works on another computer, you can go to Outlook.com, use his Microsoft account address to log in, the Microsoft account password to log in. Then use that to log into that computer. Then you've solved at least the first problem. I'm really worried when he says, why did he delete the administrator accounts? I don't understand that one.
Yeah, because he thought, he thought that was safe or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure I don't even know how you would do that or what he did. So that might be germane to this. He might have deleted something critical.
Yeah, that's probably what I thought.
Yeah, if you can, get a Microsoft account working. And you should be able to on another system. Then try logging into that system with that account. If you can, then everything is going to be fine. If you can't, the system is probably hosed by whatever he did. And now just reinstall. You already did this once. You're going to do it again. Reinstall Windows. Set it up with a Microsoft account that you have now verified. And reinstall Office as he did last time.
Yeah, and he said he would contact Microsoft's phone number support.
Yeah, it'll be, honestly, if there's a good tech, company in the neighborhood. He needs it today, though. Sounds like, yeah.
Yeah,
Greg, you're a saint. Because this is some sort of, he did something. I don't know what he did. Delete the words "deleted the administrator accounts" are puzzling to me. I don't think you can do that. So whatever he deleted, maybe he went to look at the user profiles and deleted the profiles or something. I don't know what he did. He did something. So do you know what I'm saying about trying to do the recovery of the Microsoft account on another computer? Do you think you can try that?
Yeah, I'll give it a shot.
Don't do that, because I think the loop is something. Do that something else. Just here's, you may not even need that form. I mean, the fact that I don't. It's bizarre that you needed the form, to be honest with you. So you should be able to just reset the password.
Okay.
And then next time, turn on two-factor, because then he'll have the authenticator account on his app on his phone. There's always going to be one active administrator account.
Yeah.
There has to be. So that's what you're trying to figure out what that is. Probably, in all likelihood, that's the main login, the Microsoft account login. If not, you can try, logging in as admin, and you can play with some passwords. I mean, but there will be at least one administrative account.
Yeah.
And that, if you can get that, I think everything else can be fixed, I think.
Okay.
Good luck, Greg. Bye. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. The phone number. Gary in our Discord chat is saying you can have a Gmail account and have an Outlook account. That's right. You can sign into your Microsoft account, your MSA, we'll call it, with a Gmail address. You can use anything you want. But he says, I'm thinking that his dad set up an Outlook account, forgot the password on Outlook, your MSA. But he says something else is not adding up, and that's the same thing, Gary. I had the same feeling with Greg, and he says, I'm wondering if he got caught with pirating Office 2016. Truthfully, that's what it sounds like to me, and that maybe as a result, the MSA got locked out. The origination of this Microsoft Office 2016 is the thing that's concerning me. He doesn't want to lose his Office, he says. Well, you wouldn't lose it if you had a legit serial number for Office. So maybe that's what's going on. Lewis is on the line from Riverside, California. Our next call. Hi, Lewis.
Hello, Leo. Great to talk to you.
Great to talk to you. What can I do for you?
I got a LG Q7 Plus phone on the Metro PCS network.
Nice.
And evidently they had a problem. It's my mother's phone. All she does is talk, text, and get pictures from her grandkids.
Aww.
She doesn't have a Gmail account or anything on it. And the phone, she couldn't call out, so I go and I try a couple things. Didn't work. I go down to Metro PCS, and after they tried to reset it, all it had was a sign on it where it came on and said, LG Q7 Plus.
Yeah. And
then it had a thing, and it says, I wrote it down. Your device has failed a routine safety check and will not boot.
Well.
This may be a temporary problem. If this message occurs repeatedly, visit this link on another device and enter red code, and it's got g.co/ABH.
Yeah.
Did that. My cousin, he's real good with computers. I took it to him, and he plugged in a cord. We charged it, and he got it to come on.
Oh.
And now it says, I'm looking at the phone right now, and it says secure startup. Enter password to unlock. 27 of 30 attempts remaining. My mother never set up.
There's no password.
Yeah, she never set up a password or anything. And we need to know if there's a factory password for this.
No, there's not. No, there's not. He must have it sounds like he put a ROM on the phone. You might ask him this, where he got this thing that he did to fix the phone that has a password.
He put a ROM on it?
Yeah, I think he put a ROM on it that has its own password. Now, if he knows what the ROM is, some ROMs. By the way, what a ROM is? It's
read.
Yeah, I know, but it's not meaningful. What it really is the LG comes with its own firmware, LG firmware, but you can put other firmware on an Android phone. Once you root the phone, you can put any other firmware on it. It sounds to me like there's some other firmware on it, like Lineage OS or something else that has its own password. So find out what he put on that phone to get it to work.
I can go back to him with that.
Yeah. Does it still say LG when you turn it on?
I haven't turned it off. I left it on. I got it here. If I turn it off, let's see.
But I mean, it'll say LG because the hardware is LG. But then past that, it might tell you what operating system's coming up. Android, because it's open source, lots of people have made various versions of Android. And it sounds, and that, by the way, that would be one way to fix this. In fact, it'd be a good idea with this phone. It's so old that it's running Android 8 Oreo, and we're up to Android 12 now. And it's probably very insecure. Now, it sounds like the way she's using it, it's probably okay.
Yeah, she talks, texts, and pictures of her grandkids. She doesn't have a Gmail account.
Yeah, where do the pictures come from, though? Does she take them, or does she get them from the internet?
She had them sent to her in like a text.
Yeah. Okay.
It
could still get.
She takes herself.
It's still. Yeah, I mean it's safe even if.
And we don't know. We haven't got the phone to come back on yet to see if the pictures are still there.
They may not be. Depends on what your brother-in-law did.
my cousin, yeah.
Your cousin. He may have. You can get it working, but there might be a price to pay. So find out what he did. Ask him, did you put a custom ROM on here?
Yeah. I'll take it back to him.
I think that's what he did.
He plugged it in. He's at his desk, and there's 3 monitors up there, and he's going.
He's that guy.
Faster.
He's typing. Yeah. So he ran a program, the Android debugger program, did something. The fact that you're getting asked for a password tells me he put a custom ROM on there. So you just want to find out. Just say, dude, what did you put on here? And does it have a password? Some custom ROMs do, but it'll be a default password. It's a mess. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. It's such an old phone. The other thing you could do is run down to the Metro PCS store and say, hey, my mom is a happy customer. She doesn't want to go somewhere else, but they're offering her a free phone over at Verizon. What can you do for me here?
Yeah, it's on my account, and it's one of 4.
Oh, yeah, they'll love you. Just say, hey, this phone is old. It's time to get a new one. You got any free phones for my mom?
Yeah.
And they will.
She's had it. It still has the original screen protector on it. This phone is pristine. It would look like it's practically brand new.
Nice. So. Yeah. My mom loves her iPhone, loves it, and pretty much the same thing. She uses it for texting and playing games.
Yeah.
And this is a perfectly fine phone. The biggest concern is that it's so out of date now with the operating system that it's not getting security patches anymore, which means she's not doing banking or anything on it, so it's probably fine. Yeah, it's probably fine. If your cousin can't figure out why, he would know why there's a password popping up. Sounds like he put a custom ROM on it. If he did that and he can get it unlocked, it's not going to look like what she's used to. It's not going to look like Android. The initial message is also a little puzzling. You didn't give this to your cousin before, did you?
No, we took it to him the first time. That was, I guess there's a list at T-Mobile. They have a bunch of phones. There's 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 phones that have this problem. They're all LG phones.
Oh, so it's a known issue.
LG. And I thought, well, do you just want me to buy a new phone? And
they should replace it. They should replace it for free. Because, I can't use it. You need to replace it. I think that's fair.
Told me
yeah.
That was an LG thing and not their thing.
Oh, that's what they told you?
I got it from you. So.
Yeah. Well, and they're going to say, well, you got it, a few years ago, so we're not responsible. Yeah. It does do LTE, so it's not that it stopped working on 3G. I don't, that's interesting. So this is a known thing with these LG phones, huh? That's not good. That ain't good. That's called enforced obsolescence. They should give you, and you probably can get a cheap phone from them, but I bet you they'll give you a free phone if you say, look, we're going to go somewhere else. I have 4 accounts with you. I need a free phone for this.
I'll see what I can do.
Yeah. You might get it. You might even get it.
If my cousin can get it to work,
yeah,
we'll stay with that.
I think he put a custom ROM on there, and that's why it's asking for your password.
Yeah. He's quite the computer guy. He's the guy that at his company, if they have a computer problem, they all go to him. So
there is, LG doesn't make phones anymore. They got out of the business.
Yeah.
Did you get LG IMS has stopped? Is that the message you got?
LG IMS stopped. No, it just
security issue, huh?
Yeah, just your device failed a routine safety check and will not reboot.
That's bizarre.
Now, here's the crazy thing is, I have an LG phone. I have the lowest end phone. It's an LG K20.
Yeah.
And it still works.
Yeah.
And
I'm going to put a link. There's a link in the show notes that might be relevant. There's apparently T-Mobile did an update. You're on a T-Mobile network, even though it's Metro PCS. They own Metro PCS. T-Mobile did an update that caused a problem with some LG phones. I'm going to send you this link. You can probably use this to get them to give you a new phone because it was their fault. We'll put it in the show notes. It's Android Police, how to fix LG phones. You can Google for that. That might help too. I got to run. The sound of no Chris Marquardt is what you're hearing. Silence. Chris has taken the week off. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, will just keep on going. Keep on answering your calls at 8888 Ask Leo. Neil on the line from Chandler, Arizona. Hello, Neil.
Hey, Leo. Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure.
I thought of a question this morning when I heard your opening about the NFTs.
Yes.
But the question I had is, what is Bitcoin, and like, why would I want this or need it? I guess I tried to buy $1 worth of Bitcoin once, but I didn't feel I could do anything with it. And why would we need it if we have dollars? So maybe I'm just missing.
Yeah. I mean, people who are in favor of Bitcoin, I'm not against Bitcoin particularly, or cryptocurrencies of any kind. They describe a few benefits. Things like it's decentralized. I guess I'm going to have to start at the beginning, which is that currency, the money we use, the dollars, the francs, the bucks, the pounds, the yen, or the pound, they're all what we call fiat currencies. Fiat is the Latin word for faith. They're fiat currencies because they have when you give somebody $1, a piece of paper with some green ink on it, there's really no real value to it. But we all agree it's worth $1, whatever that means. And it does have the full faith and credit of the United States government behind it, which mostly means you can pay your taxes in it. It used to be in the old days, you could go to the bank, give them $1, they give you $1 worth of gold. That's long gone, or silver. That's long gone. It's really imaginary. It only has value because we all agree. So the Bitcoin folks say, well, this is also a fiat currency. If everybody agrees, what a Bitcoin is worth, then that is as good as $1. You can't pay your taxes with it, though, and it's not backed by any government. But I think that probably doesn't make that much difference. The real problem with Bitcoin is, you nailed it. What can I do with it? And while there are some things you can do with it, for a while you could, there was a pizza restaurant was letting you pay in Bitcoin, which caused somebody to give them what would now be $10 million worth of Bitcoin for a pizza. Tesla briefly accepted Bitcoin to buy a Tesla automobile. They stopped doing that when people pointed out the environmental hazards caused by Bitcoin, because this is part of the problem with Bitcoin is the way it's minted. We mint dollars on a printing press, and the government has the right to mint more dollars anytime they want. Bitcoin is kind of clever. It's a mathematical process. Computers do hard math problems and generate Bitcoin. And as more Bitcoin is generated, it gets harder and harder to do the math problems, which means those computers use more and more energy to do it. And at this point, the cost of the energy is now so high that it doesn't make sense to mine Bitcoin on your computer unless you live somewhere where energy is almost free. So that's problem number one. It's bad for the environment. And by the way, there are other coins that are pretty much the same. Problem number two is it's extremely volatile. And you probably have noticed this. At one point, Bitcoin was worth about $60,000 US, which means you could go to an exchange and say, I have a Bitcoin, give me $60,000, and they would do it. Today, it's half that. Tomorrow it might be half that, or it might be twice that. It's unknown. This is, unfortunately, the country of El Salvador is learning this. They used to use the U.S. dollar. They changed to Bitcoin last year, and now they can't pay their debts because the Bitcoin has dropped so much in value. Bitcoin is theoretically interesting For normal people, it's not, I think, important. And the thing to note is that a lot of the people promoting Bitcoin are speculators who bought it for $1 or $2 and are anxious to find somebody who'll pay them $30,000 for it. So it's a very interesting technical story. The technology is very interesting, but many, many economists, including 8 Nobel laureates, think it's basically speculative. It's an economic bubble. It's not. The Central Bank of Estonia called it a Ponzi scheme, a pyramid scheme. I don't think it's that bad, but I think I would probably not worry about it. It's not going to change the world, as its proponents say it will or thought it would. It's just a very interesting computer science problem.
Well, thank you for answering that. I paid about $100 worth of it, and then I made $106 out of it. I mean, got the $6 more out of it.
You'd actually be, if you'd kept it, you might be worth quite a bit now, right?
Well, it was $100. It was $100. I don't know if it was Bitcoin, and I put $100 into it.
Yeah, I recommend people not, unless they really have their eyes open, not invest in cryptocurrencies, because it is a complicated thing. You know, I mean, look, to some degree, the stock market is also kind of crazy. But in theory, when you buy a stock, its value is somewhat tied to the company that issued the stock. In truth, it's probably not. Just look at AMC or GameStop stocks, which went all over the place for no good reason at all. But in theory, a stock is somewhat tied to the economic fortunes of the company that it's issued it. Bitcoin's tied to nothing. So it goes up, it goes down, and why it goes up and goes down, no one knows, you know. It's very unpredictable. It's interesting. It's very interesting from a technical point of view. The idea, I think, behind this is somewhat libertarian. Right now, it's the banks of the world that tell you how much money you have, right? They have a ledger, in effect, that says, well, I put $1,000 in Bank of America. Bank of America says you have $1,000. I can then pay somebody $500. Bank of America will tell me I have $500, and tell that guy he has $500. That ledger is maintained by the banks. Bitcoin's ledger is maintained by every single person who owns Bitcoin, which is, by the way, a whole nother problem. They call that the blockchain, and the blockchain's quite huge now because it has every transaction ever made. But because it's decentralized like that, no bank controls it. A lot of libertarians say, well, this is good. You see, there's no government that can tell us what it's worth. Okay, but no one can tell you what it's worth. So it's kind of crazy. So it's certainly worth studying up on, learning about. The person or persons who created Bitcoin, person named Satoshi Nakamoto, that was a pseudonym. It might be a group of people, might be one person. No one knows who it is. He wrote a brilliant mathematical paper describing Bitcoin, describing how it would work. It was very exciting. A lot of people jumped on that. But I don't think it is yet changing the world. If you're interested, Wikipedia has a good article on Bitcoin that I think is fair, that describes all the pros and cons, describes the history of it. I think it's fascinating, but I don't think in the long run it's going to make a huge difference. Now, central banks, government banks, like our own Federal Reserve and others, are looking at cryptocurrencies, and they like to call them digital currencies. And most agree that at some point, nations will have to issue digital currencies. If you think about it, we already really do live in a digital world. Most of your money doesn't come to you in form of silver dollars paid to you at a counter by a guy with a visor and sleeve garters. Here's your pay for the week in a paper envelope. No, it appears magically in your bank account. Or maybe you get a check that you deposit, then it appears magically in your bank account. And most of the bills you pay these days, digital. So we really live in a digital world. So it's just a matter of time probably before the U.S. government and other governments declare a digital currency. But it will not be like Bitcoin. It will be tied to a stable store of value, something like the U.S. dollar. It's very complicated. Yeah, John Oliver had a very good Bitcoin for Dummies description on his show last week tonight, some years ago. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. It's a really good question. I don't know if I've answered it very well. It's a hard question to answer. But
well, no, I have a friend of mine who buys and sells not necessarily Bitcoin but other currencies. I just thought of that when you were talking this morning about those NFTs, and I really didn't understand what
it's very closely related. And your friend is basically a speculator, just like buying anything. The hope is that somebody will pay more for it down the road. And you can really make the case, I think, these days that stocks are kind of speculative as well. So it's not so very different than that. But it's not tied to anything of value. So the value of it just fluctuates wildly. It's very volatile. And then there is very much this issue of the amount of energy it uses, which I think may be something we should consider because it's very costly in terms of energy.
Great. Well, thanks again.
Hey, thanks for the question. I don't know if I did it justice, but I tried. Let me see if I can find. There was a very good article. Nicholas Weaver at UC Berkeley. He's a senior staff researcher at the International Computer Science Institute, lecturer in Berkeley's computer science. He says Bitcoin should die in a fire. Cryptocurrency should die in a fire. Let me put this in the show notes because this is probably the strongest worded case against Bitcoin. He says cryptocurrencies, although a seemingly interesting idea, are simply not fit for purpose. They do not work as currencies, they're grossly inefficient, and they are not meaningfully distributed in terms of trust. Risks involving cryptocurrencies occur in 4 major areas: technical risks to participants, economic risks to participants, systemic risks to the cryptocurrency ecosystem, and societal risks. A couple of years later, in a lecture this year, actually, on YouTube, he said, "This is a virus. Its harms are substantial. It has enabled billion-dollar criminal enterprises. It has enabled venture capitalists to do securities fraud as their business. It has sucked people in, so either avoid it or help me make it die in a fire." He also says, "Your apes are fudged because the cryptocurrencies are often used for buying these non-fungible tokens that have pictures of ugly little apes. They just get liberated. But the result is you cannot store cryptocurrency on an internet-connected computer because what will happen is if your computer ever gets compromised, all your money gets stolen, and there's nothing you can do about it. And that's a fundamental problem." Yes. There are so many problems. Ransomware has exploded because of Bitcoin. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I'll enter into the record, as the senators will say. I will, in my case, post on our website, techguylabs.com, a really good article from Current Affairs magazine this month. An interview with UC Berkeley's computer science professor, Nicholas Weaver, who has been very outspoken about Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency. They quote him from 2018. And by the way, I'm going to put the link in because it's worth reading the whole thing. He describes in great detail the problems with cryptocurrency, which I have been describing. I've been probably more judicious than he has been. He says, cryptocurrencies are viruses. Its harms are substantial. It has enabled billion-dollar criminal enterprises. Ransomware has exploded thanks to Bitcoin. It has enabled venture capitalists to do securities fraud as their business. It has sucked people in. So either avoid it or help me make it die in a fire. That's Nicholas Weaver from UC Berkeley. Help me make it die in a fire. All I would say is if somebody wants you or starts, and by the way, you'll meet them. If somebody you meet tries to convince you to buy an NFT, which is closely related, or invest in cryptocurrency, watch your wallet. Watch your wallet because they need people to buy it. Like any pyramid scheme, you need new suckers. So just watch your wallet. And if you feel like, if you look around at the table and you feel like these people are suckers, I can take them in. Okay, good luck. Good luck. problem is, you know, just like any casino, you always see the winners. You don't see so much about the losers. And with cryptocurrency, you hear about the Bitcoin bros who are billionaires. They're billionaires, I tells you. Living in big mansions, driving fancy cars. Yeah, but that's not you. All of those billions that they have, and by the way, notice they quickly converted that cryptocurrency into dollars to buy all those things. All of those dollars came from people like you and me. That's how you build the casinos in Las Vegas. That's how you turn a scammer into a Bitcoin billionaire. Don't fall for it. Again, techguylabs.com. I'll put the link. It's a good question. And when this first started happening, I was interested, as many were, in the technology of it and blockchain. And there's some, perhaps some real value to the idea of a decentralized ledger and all of that. But over time, I've become more and more skeptical as I've seen more and more people get ripped off to lose their shirts to this stuff. And now at this point, I think it's time to speak the truth and say this stuff is a pyramid scheme. Stay away. Joe, Santa Barbara, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo.
Hi. Welcome.
Before my question, I'd like to thank you. I called a while back, and I wanted to replace my battery on a Mac Air. I wanted to do it myself.
Oh, yeah.
And you turned me on to iFixit, which turned out to be a really nice company.
Isn't it a great company? I love them. Yeah.
Yeah. Just wanted to give them some props. And
good.
And I had a question for them, and I called them, and believe it or not, they actually called me back. You know, you never hear that from companies anymore.
No, they're great. In fact, I know Kyle Wiens, the founder. They have advertised in the past in our podcast, but I'm a big fan of iFixit.com. Highly recommend them. Yeah.
And my question is, since we retired, my wife and I, we made a little pact to travel, and we've been traveling up till COVID kind of shut us down. And when we're traveling, I use SlingBox to watch my home television.
Yes.
My home DVR.
Yeah, we used to do ads for them for a long time because it was a really clever idea.
Right. Well, I have a little problem with it, so I called them up, and they said that they're going to quit support of the SlingBox.
They kind of got out of that business. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what the idea was, which was really clever, you spent a lot of money on your home theater system at home, including all your subscriptions to cable and HBO and all that. Why should you, when you're on the road, have to, pay for a movie when you already bought it at home? So that you'd put the SlingBox in your house, and it would essentially turn your home theater system into an internet stream, a server, so you could watch anything you could watch at home, you could watch on the road. It's a great idea, but even they are abandoning it because Sling now sells subscriptions to streaming services. So as of last year, they discontinued their products. They've moved into a new business, which is, essentially streaming it directly. Eliminating your home theater.
Uh-huh. So, do you have any options for me to be able to?
Does it still work?
Yes.
Well, cross your fingers.
You're right.
I would continue to use it. There's nothing wrong with it. The reason that they have stopped doing it is because nobody's buying them anymore, because all people are doing is subscribing to, in fact, this is probably what I'd recommend, Sling TV at sling.com, which sells, all your locals, all the stuff you want. Just stream it from them instead of having to, it's kind of a kludge to get to your home theater system and all that. And if somebody, I remember people calling in, if somebody changes the channel at home, your channel gets changed on your Sling and vice versa. So there's all sorts of issues with it. Sling sells streaming TV services starting at $35 a month. I use YouTube TV, which is Google's version of the same thing. It gives me the local stations in my area, the San Francisco Bay Area, plus a bunch. It's like basic cable. It's expensive. It's $65 a month. But I really like it because it also has a built-in DVR. So, for instance, I did not want to get up at 6 a.m. to watch the Formula One race in Monaco this morning. But I have it. I just told it, record all Formula One events, just like I say, record all San Francisco 49ers games, and then I can watch them at my leisure anywhere, not just at home, but anywhere I can get online. And that's the real strength of it. So what I would do is keep using your SlingBox, until it breaks. And if they won't fix it, which it's solid state. It's probably going to go forever. I don't know. The real question is, do they provide, and they may, some sort of back-end what we call NAT traversal? In order to get through firewalls, in all likelihood, and I'll have to check, I don't remember, your SlingBox and you and your RV are connecting to Sling's servers to get around any firewall issues. So and that means they have to run a service. If at some point they turn off that service, your SlingBox will just stop working. They say it's not going to happen yet. Let me see if they have a date.
They told me November.
Oh, really? So they are going to turn that. They're going to turn that off. So it'll work right up till they turn that off, and then they're going to probably offer you a deal, I would bet, saying, "Hey, you can get Sling TV for half off or something." So watch for that offer.
Because we really liked the main thing we liked about SlingBox was we were able to, record and just like we were at home,
right,
and watch back.
Right.
Our program.
So I can do the same thing with Sling or with YouTube TV. There are a number of companies that offer this. It's expensive, but honestly, you can eliminate your cable subscription at home because it's doing the same thing. Watch it at home or watch it on the road, and it kind of ends up the same.
Yeah, and I recommend if you ever retire, and I think you would love it, just travel as much as you can.
I love to travel. I missed traveling the last couple of years. I agree with you 100%. Yeah. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. That's the only problem with this job. I can't go anywhere. I'm getting close to figuring out how I can do the radio show anywhere, right?
Right, sure.
At some point, we do it now over the internet. I connect back to the studio using the public internet. So I guess I could put these boxes that I use here in an RV and drive around.
We don't have an RV, but we just travel when we're in the United States, and we just stay in hotels.
I think that's probably what we do because
it's the RV is just too much work.
Yeah, I don't want to drive anything that big.
You don't have a car,
right? No, I like the idea, and we love to travel. Lisa and I have booked a bunch of adventures for the next few years. In fact, the one I'm really looking forward to is in 2025. We're going to do a riverboat down the Mississippi. We're going from the Twin Cities to New Orleans.
Nice.
I can't wait. Can't wait.
Because we started, and we do, we haven't for years, but like 2-month United States road trips. Just take off.
I really want to do that. I can't wait to do that.
No.
Yeah.
I mean,
we're gonna do that. But you're right. I have to be retired because, I have to be able to, do all that.
Yeah. Couple of things I'd really recommend, because you seem like a traveler, is we went to the Galapagos Islands.
We've been. Loved it.
Oh, really?
We've only been on the first. We did the 1 week, which was the western side. So Lisa says, we got to go back and do the eastern side.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
And the trip of a lifetime for me was taking an African safari.
Oh, that's the one we haven't done. My travel agent, Jane, is saying, you got to do it. You got to do it. So it's on the list for sure. Yeah, wasn't the Galapagos amazing? That made us think we want to do more nature tours like Africa, like the Amazon and stuff. And because we really had fun. That was I got so many great images. And, I love the Galapagos. That was so cool.
I would, it's a little more expensive, but I would highly recommend traveling to those kind of places with National Geographic.
Okay. Yes.
And sometimes they even have certain tours that specify that they're going to be photo tours. So,
Ooh.
and I know you're into cameras.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we get they send us their brochures, and I've been looking at the Lindblad to Antarctica. That's kind of the one I'd like to do, the National Geographic Lindblad. Yep.
yeah, so
We've been talking to the travel agent. Hey, it's great. I'm glad you're doing it, Joe. It's awesome. Take care. Bye-bye. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers and the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, obsolete technology, brand new technology, watch your wallet technology. It's all about technology. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number, 888-827-5536, toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Jeff is on the line from New York. Hi, Jeff.
Hi, how you doing, Leo? Can you hear me okay?
I hear you great. What's up?
All right. First thing is SlingBox is great. It's funny because I used to use it and hook up my nanny cam to it to turn it into internet device.
Basically any input. Yeah. It's a shame, and I guess they're going to turn off the intermediate server that lets you access your home stuff, which means it'll stop working at end of the year.
On the 9th. 9th of November.
That's a bummer. That's a bummer.
I know. Well, while I have you quick, I was telling you, the last couple of weeks, my iPhone died, and I finally got it back. It was completely dead, and I charged it. But a lot of the messages from two of my email subscribers are saying the subject line is from no sender, a lot. Going back. I tried turning it off and rebooting it, and it works on my computer, but on my phone it just says no sender, thousands of messages.
So you see, when you look at the messages on your computer, you see, you're saying it's a subject line that says no sender, or the from lines?
No, the from line. I'm sorry, the from line. I'm looking at one right now.
That makes more sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
No sender. But when you look at it on a computer, you'll see the sending email address.
Correct. How do I get it back?
Why is the iPhone not doing it? And are you using Apple's built-in mail program?
Yeah. I'm using AOL and Gmail.
But the app you're using to look at them on the iPhone is Mail?
Yes.
Yeah. And it's the same thing for both AOL and Gmail?
Yes. Correct.
That's interesting. So it sounds like what the iPhone is doing is trying to look up the name of the sender in your contacts. How are your contacts on your phone? Are they okay?
Yeah, they go back for years. They're all here.
But they're all there, and
yeah.
Huh. Okay. And which iPhone do you have? Is it an iPhone?
It's a 12.
It's a 12. That's the one I have, too.
Yeah.
Scooter X has found an article from 9to5 Mac. For iOS 13, it is apparently a known bug, the no sender bug. iOS 13 is renowned for having a buggy mail app. Now, we're up to iOS 15. Have you updated to iOS 15?
Yeah, I'm the latest software.
Okay, so you've got the latest mail app.
15.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the most common issue, this is back a couple of years with the iOS 13 mail, appears to be the no sender glitch. What happens is every message in the inbox does not show the actual sender, instead showing no sender. Well, that's exactly what's happening to you. And you're not even on iOS 13. So what the 9to5 Mac article says is force quit the mail app, turn off the phone completely, reboot, and it should be fixed. I might even go a step further on this, which is to clear. Remember that when you're doing Gmail, I think AOL is the same. When you're downloading it, you're not deleting the messages unless you've said specifically from the website. In fact, I know you're not because you said you could go to the website and see them. So it's completely safe for you to erase, to go to the mail app and force stop it and delete the cached data, delete everything it knows as if it's brand new, and start over. It sounds like there is a database, and I know there is a database that Mail uses, and it sounds like it's corrupted. And so by deleting it, you're forcing it to rebuild it.
Okay, I will try
that should, apparently this is not the first time it's happened, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just, and then it says reboot the phone as well.
Okay.
All right. So you're not alone.
Thank you.
You're not alone in this world. And I will, we'll put a link to this article. Even though it is, from 2019 and it's an older version of iOS, it's interesting that it's still happening. It's still happening. HD editor in our chat room says, also pull the battery, point the phone at the North Star under a full moon, and then put some incense smoke underneath it to get the bad spirits out. I don't think you'll need to do that, though. That would be an extreme case. Probably don't need to do that. In this case, I don't think it's a bug, actually, despite what 9to5Mac says. It sounds like the database is getting corrupt. So the way modern mail programs work, all these servers, Gmail, AOL, Outlook, all of them are some form of what we call an IMAP server. In the old days of email, when hard drive storage was dear and the ISP did not want to store all your messages forever on its hard drive, they would use a mail protocol called POP, Post Office Protocol, POP, later POP3. And the whole idea of POP was once you got the mail, you got it on your computer, they would delete it, save space on their servers. Of course, if you've got a phone, a laptop, a desktop, a computer at work, a computer at home, you don't want that mail deleted. It's kind of a pain. What you really want is the mail to stay on the server and the email program just to show you what's on the server. Once Gmail became popular, everybody kind of moved to that. Gmail isn't technically IMAP, it's IMAP related, but it's the same idea. That's why you can use a browser and look at your email on Gmail and use the phone and look at your email on Gmail because it's not being deleted, it's being preserved on the server. So when you're using Apple Mail or almost any modern email program with a modern email provider like Google, and I presume AOL's moved to IMAP as well. They're not exactly modern, but let's assume they've become a little more modern. Your mail program is just showing you a view of what's actually on the server. Now, typically what these programs do to speed it up, if it had to download the message every single time you looked at your email, that would be slow, is cache it. They download a chunk of it and they save it. But they don't save it forever. They download a chunk of it and delete it as they need space. So older messages, aren't stored on your phone. They're still stored on the Gmail server, but they're not stored on your phone. Now, in order to quickly load those messages, to move between them, to reply to them, it's a database, really, and the database has to index ahead of time all your messages. That way it'll quickly jump to the message if you search for it and so forth. Otherwise, it's slow. All of these are techniques all computers use in a variety of places to speed things up. They cache things, they store things, hidden spots on the hard drive, and they index them. They go through them to make sure that they know everything there. And then when you do a search, it's effectively looking in the index. The index is saying, yeah, that's there, and then it goes to the message. But if the index is corrupted, particularly with in your case, the sender information, it's going to report, there's something wrong. I don't know. There's no sender. Obviously there's a sender, but it says there's no sender. It could just as easily and probably should say error, or maybe even better, error, rebuild your database, But the way to fix an error in a database and this is a cached database, is to start over. Delete the cache. Delete all the messages. The good news is, the reason I've gone through this extensive explanation is so that deleting it locally on your phone does not delete it on the server. Gmail still has it. AOL still has it. You're just deleting your local cached version of it and starting over. And then the first time you open it, it'll be a little slow. It's going to have to load all that mail, index it, store it in a cache, but one hopes at that point it will have fixed it. So delete the cache, delete the stored mail, force stop the mail program, restart the phone. All of that is intended to just kind of clear it out and start from scratch. Then it should re-download it and say, oh yeah, somebody did send you this message. There really was a sender. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. 888-827-5536, toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. More calls still to come. You stay right here. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. June is on the line from Chino Hills, California. Hello, June.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm great. What's up with you?
Good. I am trying to sort out 4 generations of photographs in my family. I ended up with everything when everybody died.
Oh, Lord.
so now I'm trying
And it's all on you. That doesn't seem fair.
I know. And I also have like essays that family members have written about their lives, which I'm going to be copying and sending out to my family. But I have family members that want the pictures.
Sure they do.
They go back to the 1800s.
Oh, that's so great. And maybe you shouldn't do it because you're going to do the hard work. Somebody will upload them to Ancestry.com or somewhere so that future generations, when they finally wise up and say, hey, there must have been some interesting ancestors in this family tree.
There was.
And
I'm finding out. I didn't realize.
I'm really proud. My daughter, who's only 30, usually it's older people that do this. My daughter, who's only 30, has shown a lot of interest. She's been going to her grandfather and grandmother saying, tell me stories and so forth. It's great when the younger generation.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I found out that we have a Lord Master Mayor from London in our family, and I almost fell over when I read that.
Wow, the Lord Mayor of London. Wow.
Yeah.
He gets a really nice chain. I wonder, maybe they to hang around your neck.
We had 5 members fight in the Revolutionary War.
Wow. Oh, yeah, you definitely want to save this. So they're paper pictures, right? Are they in books or what?
Yeah. Well, I do have some tintypes, but somebody made some copies off of that.
Oh, my.
But,
so we had a bunch of slides in my family, and my sister took them down to a local service bureau who scanned them. But once you get this stuff digitized, it's great because then everybody who wants a copy can have one.
That's what I thought.
They never go bad. Those prints, some of them are starting to wear out, wear away, fade out. So it's really good to digitize them now.
It would. Well,
if you want to do it, there are companies that will do this for you, like scancafe.com or scanmyphotos.com. But if you want to do it yourself, you certainly, it's certainly a worthwhile project. It can take a while.
Well, I'm retired.
You got plenty of time.
I have plenty of time, and I have all the photographs.
So what you need then is a scanner. So a scanner will take the image, even a tintype, if you get the right scanner, will take the image, convert it to a digital format, which you can then store on a hard drive. You could upload it to a photo sharing site like Flickr or Google Photos, or there are lots of them.
Well, I was trying to find out about the Epson printer that you have.
Scanner. Yes, it's called the Fast Photo. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was thinking that would be a good way to do it at home.
So the Fast Photo is good for a photo that you can sheet feed. It's a sheet fed scanner. So you put them in a stack and it goes, and it's really fast, like 1 per second. And it does.
Oh, so you might rip them up when you get them out.
Certainly you can't do that with a tintype, obviously. It's glass. And if they're fragile, so what I would say is the Epson is good for, old style, got them at the 1 hour photo prints. It'll do those fine. It's designed for that.
Yeah.
But
I have a picture of a log house that my family built in the 1800s in Oklahoma Territory. And I don't know who they got to take the picture, but they have a really good picture of it. But it's, like you said, it's fading.
Yeah.
And I want to make copies of that type of thing. And I have, like formalized photographs of uncles and great-uncles and great-great-uncles and grandfathers and family reunions. And
oh, yeah, you want to save these. And once you get them digital, you can upload them to a site like, genealogy.com or ancestry.com. You can also put them on Google Photos and share it with everybody. Everybody can have a copy, which is really nice. You don't have to fight over that copy of the log cabin. Everybody can have a copy.
Do we need to have like a special computer?
No, just a regular computer will do.
I have no computer at this point.
Okay.
And I also need to know what is the best one. I did use, Well, I'm 77 years old. And so I taught for 34 years, and we used computers at the last 20 or 25 years.
Sure.
But then they took the computers away from us when we left. So I got a computer, but then it broke down.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get it fixed. So
I'm thinking, how many photos do you think there are total?
I have a legal size box that's stacked.
Wow. So thousands.
Yeah, I think there's probably about 5,000. I'm just guessing. Our family was very prolific. My father was a mayor and city council for like 15 years in a town here in Southern California. So we have all that kind of pictures that my brothers want. And we have, it's just, they're so varied. We had 5 ministers in the family, I found out.
I love all this stuff. I think it's so great to preserve this. Usually, though, the younger people in the family go, oh, who cares? It's the older people who care, right?
They do mind because they have babies in them.
Good. So the Epson would be fine, but it's very limited to those things that you could put in the sheet feeder. It's not what we call a flatbed scanner. The problem with a flatbed scanner, which is just like a Xerox machine, you open the lid, it's got a glass plate, you put it on the lid, you put it on the glass, you close the lid. Those are slow, right. So that's a long process because you're going to put it on there. It's going to go, and then so you need a computer. You need the flatbed scanner. Dr. Mom gave her one of our chatters gave her husband a Caesar, CZUR, and these are scanners you could actually take to a library because they're just like a lamp. An overhead lamp. The camera's in the arm, and you put anything under it, which means that tintype or a book or a print. You put it under it, and it takes a picture. But all of these, you're going to need a computer, too. So now you're talking $1,000 for the scanner, another $1,000 for the computer. We're talking some real money and some real time.
Yeah.
So it might well be worth finding as a service that would do this for you. They do this as a professional thing. They're going to take good care of it. They'll clean up the images, and they'll give you a CD or a DVD with all the images, or they'll put it online, and then you don't have to worry about that either. So if you don't have a computer, this is kind of an elaborate thing that you're...
Well, one of my brothers recommended that I get an ASUS computer.
Yeah, but now you got to learn the computer. You got to get the scanner. It just depends. I think for the same price as buying the scanner and the computer, you could send it to somebody like scancafe.com, SCANCAFE.com. You send them the box, they do the whole thing for you, and it probably wouldn't cost any more. I think that's probably the way to do it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I mean, if you wanted a computer and a scanner, if you really wanted that, and you would use it afterwards, okay. But if it's just for this project...
I mean the service. You said you gave the name of
it. There's a number of services. The best thing to do would be see if there's a service in your area, because then you can bring it to them. If you go to Scan Cafe is a national service, but you're trusting the mails.
Yeah, I know.
And there's only one copy of that log cabin photo.
That's right.
And you can go to SCANCAFE.com and you can see what they do. And understand, and they do this. This is their business. Yeah. And they do it with any kind of anything, photos, even Super 8 videos, all this stuff. And they'll send you a box, and you put it in the box and you ship it. And chances are 99.9% it won't get lost. Yeah. But if it did, it would be disaster, right? So that's the other thing to do is to find somebody that does the same thing in Chino Hills. Then you can bring it to them. That's what my sister did. She actually brought it to somebody. But if there isn't...
Okay, so Scan Cafe.
Scan Cafe. It's just look at it because you'll see this is exactly what they do. And they have better scanners because they spend thousands of dollars on their scanners. Right?
Okay, that sounds like a great idea.
And then you'll have it. It'll be high quality. They'll put it online so you can share it. They fix it up. They clean it up. So that's probably the better way to do it, and it wouldn't cost you much more than buying. You're talking now at least $2,000 plus the learning curve. you know?
Yeah.
And unless you want to become a computer whiz, maybe you do.
I don't know. Maybe. I did do a lot of things. I did my daughter's wedding online.
Oh,
everything.
nice. Well, so you have some. It wouldn't be too steep of a learning curve. You know what you're doing.
No.
Yeah.
No. Okay. Thank you very much.
Hey, you're welcome. I'm really glad you're going to do this, June. This is very worth it.
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
For the family, if nothing else.
Absolutely. And you can get them to chip in. The advantage of putting it online, like if you put it somewhere like Shutterfly.com, is they pay for the prints. Because what you don't want them to is go, oh, Auntie June, would you send us a print of that?
Oh, I know.
You know,
already had.
Yeah, you don't want that. So you put it online, and then they can order prints or mouse pads or calendars or whatever they want.
Whatever they want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome, June. This is a great project.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
You too.
Yeah, it's complicated, but somebody's going to have to go through them after she scans them and say, oh, yeah, that's Uncle Jack. That's great-grandpa, Ernesto. Oh, there's Lord Mayor Shuffleworth. There's lots of ways to do it. The other way to do it, if you already had a computer and a relatively good camera, I guess you could even do it with a smartphone, is to set up an easel with lights and just take pictures of everything. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888, ask Leo the phone number. Harold on the line, Tustin, California. Hello, Harold.
Hi there.
Hey, welcome to the show. What can I do for you?
Just to let you know, 99% of what you talk about, I have no clue.
Why do you listen then, Harold? Why?
Well, maybe I pick up something.
Yeah.
I just did on the.
Yeah, same reason I watch French movies. I'm hoping I'll pick up a little French on the way. Exactly. Yeah.
No, it's like that scanner thing. It's kind of a good.
Yeah, see? I try to throw in some useful tidbits here and there.
I have a Samsung Smart TV. And I've had it 4 or 5 years, so I don't know what I have. It's a Samsung. I just bought it.
By the way, that is what a normal person says. A geek says, I have a Samsung SM4392. It's a 1080p, full HD, and it goes on and on. You just say, I don't know what it is. I bought it. It was a TV. I watched TV on it.
Yeah, I heard you talking about the new models that are out, the GED or GED.
Yeah.
Okay, and I don't know. And my question is related to that. My question is, after 4 or 5 years of watching the baseball games, all of a sudden my volume button doesn't work.
Oh man, on the remote?
No.
On the remote?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't have any buttons on the TV itself.
They
remote only.
Isn't that funny? Now I think there is a button somewhere, but it may not be obvious. But yeah, that drives me nuts if I can't find the button because if the remote batteries die or something, you want to turn on the TV. How are you supposed to do it?
Well, I have switched remotes a couple times.
Yeah.
With I don't remember. I keep saying Scantron, but what is it? It's what's the internet company? It starts with S.
Let me think. I'm going to go look at my directory. Internet companies that start with S. Snapchat? I don't know. Anyway, you get other remotes, not Samsung brand, but other brands. Oh, you're talking about your cable company, Spectrum.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, I got it. Okay, yep. Chat room understood. They figured it out.
Anyway, I got a couple of those, and then I got a new box that connects and all that neat stuff. And I have enough common sense to know how to plug it in, but I don't know how it works inside. So it doesn't go on. It goes on just fine, but I can't get it to go louder or softer.
Well, that's no fun. Now, let me ask you, this is not the TV remote. This is the Spectrum remote?
Yes, it is.
Got it. Okay.
And my son hooked up something when he was out here at Christmas, like a Roku, but it was Firefly or Fire something or other.
Fire Stick, yeah. Amazon, yeah.
And he gave me a few of his sites. I'm on his family plan.
Nice.
But I've never used it because I used it once and I got everything so screwed up. I just said, So I got it working again on Spectrum and everything's fine. We got the games and we got what we want.
That's what you care about, the darn baseball game. So the Spectrum remote has to be taught how to control the Samsung TV. This is the problem. In fact, if you could find your Samsung remote and turn your volume up and down just to verify it, it probably works. It's just the Spectrum.
I don't know.
Well, that's the question, right? If there was something bigger wrong, then your Samsung remote wouldn't work. But I'm almost promise you it does. It's the Spectrum.
Well, anyway, I got my wife lost the Samsung remote.
Oh, there's the problem right there in a nutshell.
But I went and bought a generic one.
Oh, does that work?
Everything worked just fine until recently, and now the sound is random. Sometimes you turn the TV on and you have sound. Up and down, you can change it. Sometimes you turn it on and nothing will happen. So I went to Best Buy because it's close to me, and I went into the Geek Squad. Well, that's no help. They don't touch TVs, only computers.
They saw you coming. They said, uh-oh, here comes Harold. Hide behind the counter, quick.
Yeah, well, they know me.
They do know you.
I have four computers, and I have a year's service, and I take each one in when it needs something. I don't fiddle with it.
I figured they knew you. So, Harold, the trick is we got to get that Spectrum remote to understand what kind of TV you have. It has to be taught. So if you think about it, that Spectrum remote is what we sometimes call a universal remote. It's supposed to work with a variety of devices. So
but sometimes it works just perfectly. And I went to the TV section to look for a new TV. I said, I'm not going to screw around with this nonsense.
Don't buy it. Wait a minute. Don't buy a new TV just because the remote won't turn the volume up. I don't think.
What I did is I talked to a TV guy.
Yeah, what'd he say?
He's an experienced guy. He says, I have the same problem. And the only way I can fix it is I unplug it from the power source.
I think he's giving you the wrong advice. I don't think it's the TV.
Okay, well, anyway, I do that, and then when I plug it back in, everything works just fine.
Oh, well, I'm wrong. He was right. The TV, if you unplug it and plug it in, then the volume up and down works.
Yes.
And then after a while, it stops working.
It could be a week, 2 weeks, and then poof, it's not working again. So we unplug it, wait a minute, plug it in, and we're back to where we should be.
Which team? Are you a Dodgers? Are you a Dodgers fan? I have to know whether I can help, whether I should help you or not.
Angels.
Okay, there you go. All right. I'm a Giants fan.
I only wear blue when the Rams play.
Okay. Well, I'm not a Rams fan either. They beat us in the playoffs last season.
You betcha.
Yeah, you betcha. Yeah. Well, we're gonna get you this time. Let me tell you.
They already got me.
They did. How'd they get you?
My remote.
Oh,
thing.
You think the Niners have something to do with that? I think that's really, now it's interesting, this guy, because I was thinking he was completely wrong, but this guy does know his TVs. He says unplug the TV and then plug it in again and it'll work, and then it'll stop working for a while. That is a really unusual. So I'm completely wrong then, and he's right, because there is apparently something wrong with the TV, not the Spectrum remote, because that's not uncommon, the remote gets. So Fix Samsung TV control problems. The chat room, Scooter X, has come up with something. Power down the TV, reset the audio settings, remove the batteries from the Samsung remote, go to the options menu, turn off auto run smart features. So what's going on with this TV? This TV has a smart feature called Smart Hub. And apparently there's a bug in this, a known bug. So there is a long article on removeandreplace.com that actually describes this bug you're talking about. And apparently your friend there really does know his TVs and how you do it. And yes, you could unplug the TV, but there is better, more permanent solutions to this, or at least easier solutions. Wow, this is a messy thing. I'll put this link at techguylabs.com, and because it's lots of steps, you can follow it from there. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Wow. So you were right in pinpointing the TV. It's interesting. So does it go up and down automatically or not?
I'm sorry?
Does the volume change sometimes or not?
No. I either have volume or I don't.
Or you don't. Okay.
But I have sound. And when I turn on the TV, whatever the last setting on sound was is what it's
still doing it. I think it's this. I think it might be. Wow, this article has all of these steps in it. It says if you're experiencing sound or volume problems with your Samsung TV, there are a few things you can try.
Remember what I told you about understanding what you said.
I know this is complicated. I think it's time to buy a new TV.
Well, that was my. He said he thought it was a motherboard.
Well, no, I don't think it is. It's interesting that works, though. I think it's a piece of software called the Smart Hub that Samsung put in there that doesn't work very well. And I think what you want to do is disable the Auto Run Smart Hub, which is in your TV settings under Smart Features.
Wait a minute, TV.
TV settings, Smart Features.
I'm writing all this down because I won't remember it when I get down to the corner.
There.
TV settings.
General, Smart Features, disable Auto Run Smart Hub.
Okay, settings, general features.
Settings, general, smart features. That's 3 menus deep. Auto Run Smart Hub. There's under smart features. You can uncheck that box, Auto Run Smart Hub. I think that's part of the problem. There's also in the diagnostics, if you go to settings, support, there's a diagnostics that you can run that might help as well, that will go through it and figure out what's going on. The other thing you can do instead of turning the TV off and on is there's a factory reset, which I think is also under settings support, that might fix this more longer term. This is ridiculous. This article says, replace the batteries in your remote, reset the Smart Hub, turn off auto run on the Smart Hub, hold down the down and pause button. I'm reading this fast. You don't have to remember this. The down and pause button simultaneously until a message appears. Oh my God, this is crazy. But there's so it's really a bunch of different fixes depending on what's wrong. From removeandreplace.com. This article came out last September.
We've gotten to the point where I get a new
TV. Now I understand. No,
I can't figure out all this stuff.
It's too complicated.
Right. What's a good 55-inch TV right now?
Well, I guess not a Samsung. I would look at get an LG OLED. Is the room, it's really bright?
Yeah, it can be.
But, and you're watching day games, probably.
I'm watching night games mostly.
Okay. The OLED's going to look amazing. I think any new TV, even a Samsung, is going to be better. I think this sounds like this TV may be starting to get a little tired.
Well, that's what he said. His is kind of worn out too. But
yeah, they wear out. You know, in the old days, you'd buy a TV, you'd keep it 20 years. Now they really every 5 years maybe get a new TV. So LG makes really good ones, and so does Samsung.
Yeah, right.
And on that note, thank you for letting me be your tech guy, such as I am. Not perfect. Had a great call with Harold, to which we, believe it or not, finally concluded he should just buy a new TV sometimes. And then he says, what's a good 55-inch TV? And right now is a good time to be in the market for TVs. The prices are pretty good because the Super Bowl's over. You know, all the things people buy TVs for gone by the wayside. The new models are coming out. You can get last year's, for instance, LG OLED C1. The 55-inch is lower than I've ever seen it. I think it's around $1,000. It's really, and these are beautiful TVs. And even though he had problems with the old Samsung, I think Samsungs are very good too. I wouldn't hesitate recommending Samsung. But yeah, maybe this, sometimes, you know, in the old days, you know, I mean, like the days of Zenith, RCA, Westinghouse, you'd buy a TV and you'd keep it for years, 10, 20 years, right? But nowadays, you know, we had our old Sony Trinitron for forever. Nowadays, these TVs, they're like computers. They are computers. And I think, you know, maybe the technologies change. Probably worth getting a new one. Maybe think about it. When you buy it, think it's going to last 5 to 7 years at most. New ones are good. New ones are good. If it's the Spectrum remote, Spectrum will fix it for you. But now I'm thinking because you can unplug he said you unplug the TV, plug it back in, it works for a few weeks. That's the Samsung problem. Definitely. Definitely. Randy, Huntington Beach, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Randy. Oh.
Yes?
Yes, here we are. Welcome.
Oh, Leo, or Mr. Margarine, as I call you.
That, you know what? I've never heard that one. I thought I'd heard them all. Oh, Leo.
Yes. Anyway, I have a 27-inch HP all-in-one. It's an i5 chip, like 4500 or something. So it's relatively slow. It's never worked quite right, but I really like the monitor.
Yeah.
And I picked up a nice laptop, and I'm trying to figure out, is there a way I can output the video from my new i7 laptop
into that old nice monitor?
Right.
Yeah. So I'm not familiar with all the HP all-in-ones. Generally speaking, it's rare for these all-in-ones to have a video in port. You know, the computer itself may have an HDMI port, but that's going to be for out to another device. What you need is a video in port, and I don't think that these have it. I don't know enough about HP all-in-ones to know for sure. What's the model number? Do you know?
I actually, it's on my phone, which is next to my ear, but I could.
Well, don't worry about it. It's very rare for all-in-ones. I don't know of any all-in-ones that have video in. I'm
not familiar with that either. There was a gentleman at one of the tech stores who suggested there should be a Bluetooth solution. And
No. Bluetooth isn't fast enough for video, just for audio.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. What you'll want to do is look at the specs for this particular computer and see if it has video in, HDMI in. I have seen some all-in-ones. Lenovo makes one that have HDMI in. The idea being, oh, this is going to be your TV set for your college kid or something like that.
Right.
And then they could get a Roku and plug it in. But I think it's pretty rare. Apple for a while allowed you to do that with their iMacs, then they discontinued it. So I think it's pretty rare. It's a shame, isn't it? It might be possible. It might be possible for you to disassemble. I hate to say do this, but to disassemble the HP or somebody with some electronics background, because that monitor is just a plain old monitor. You just need a way to get into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Be careful though. Disassembling a monitor is risky business.
Yeah, capacitors can surprise you.
You know that. Yeah, the power supply can be dangerous. It's always a little risky. They don't want you to get shocked.
Issue with I've got some old iMacs too, and I never figured out how to use the monitors because they're just beautiful.
Some of them, not all, have what they call target video mode. You hold down a key. This is a weird thing, and that was only a few years worth. But yeah, those are beautiful monitors, and it's why I've kind of soured on the idea of all-in-one. This is exactly why I stopped buying all-in-ones, because I have so many beautiful monitors that the computer is out of date.
Yeah.
And just like you, I can't use it for anything, and I think that's kind of a mistake. So now I buy separates. I get a Mac Mini, for instance, with a separate monitor, and when I can replace either one individually. So only the iMacs in 2011, 2012, 2013, and mid-2014 would do what's called a target video or target display mode. You could try it on these old ones. You connect them using a mini DisplayPort or Thunderbolt cable. Press Command F2 on the keyboard of the Mac, and you should see the desktop of the other computer on your iMac screen. Yeah, if you look up target display mode, you'll see the very limited models, and they phased that out. I don't know why, but yeah. So to me, I'd rather buy a separate monitor and computer these days for that very reason.
Planned obsolescence. The television program, the television issue your last caller had, I've experienced something similar with. I've got a Sony Bravia, about a 23-inch or 24, about 27-inch, I think. And when I turn it on, the volume goes all the way up to max.
Oh God!
You can't turn it down and have it stay down. And the only solution anybody's ever given me is you have to unplug it and let it sit for a minute and then plug it back.
And then it fixes it?
Yeah, for a while.
Oh, weird. So yeah, I guess I'm going to add this to my Rolodex of known problems. I had never heard of this idea, but I guess they are computers, and I guess there's something going on. I don't really quite understand it.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you kindly.
So wait a minute. There is an HP. So wait a minute. The chat room just sent me a link to a particular HP Pavilion does have one HDMI input. So not all of them do, but don't throw it out yet. Look at you got to look at the specs and see if you have HDMI in. So apparently HP does make at least one model that does that. That's good to know. Chat room to the rescue. As always, Brian, West Hollywood. I think Brian's going to be the last call of the day. Hi, Brian.
Yes, good to be on your program.
Welcome. Thanks for calling. What can I do for you? Uh-oh. Did you press the mute button? Hello? Hello?
I'm right here.
Oh, there we go. Here. Okay. What can I do for you?
Yeah, I guess you have me as your final caller.
Last call of the show.
I don't know what that tells us.
Nothing.
Anyway,
nothing. We're driving off a cliff. That's all.
Anyway.
Yes.
I noticed that internet service providers provide us with a lot of good information to contact the internet. But I've heard of a company called Starry, Starry. They're always trying to put a little extra to everybody as best as they can. Sometimes they're successful. Sometimes they're quite not reaching their goals. What do you know about that company with regards to the contacts that you have had with them, perhaps?
So Starry is an ISP with fairly good speeds. I don't know anybody who has Starry. Are they available in your neck of the woods?
Recently, they have, yes.
So they're what we call a WISP, a wireless internet service provider. So there's, most internet service providers have a wire into your house, whether it's the phone company or the cable company, but they do it via radio towers. Mostly that means they're in urban areas. West Hollywood might well be in their urban area. It's you're going to have to get a little receiver that you put on the side of the building. I would say in general, if you have a wired option, a cable company, you're probably better off. Starry is an interesting thing, though, and I like seeing it because I like to see some competition. So if you get it, Let me know what you think. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I don't have any experience, however. Reviews are very positive. So yeah, I think it might well be worth a try. Who do you have right now? Do you have a cable company? Do you have Frontier? Who do you have right now?
I use a very good company. It's widely respected. But with respect to Starry, they caught my attention because of some of their particular features. But I think they boast a little higher than what they really produce.
Yeah. I mean, that's always the thing to check. I mean, the internet speeds are okay. They're not great. Mm-hmm. If you have a cable company, you probably have better than this.
Right. I've been a little questioning their ability to produce what they say.
Right.
I did a little check with them on the Securities and Exchange Commission, and I noticed that they merged with another company.
Oh, that's interesting, huh?
And they use their name, but they're not completely on their own with respect to their financial.
This happens a lot with ISPs. It's a tough business. There's not a lot of money to be made. Their margins are thin. The advantage they have, they don't have to run cable, so it's cheaper from their point of view. But it won't be as fast or reliable. The other thing to check is how they work in rainstorms or poor weather conditions. A lot of times wireless doesn't work that well. I would go, best way to, if you want to check the service, is go to broadbandreports.com and do a search. That's a place people go to review internet service, and those reviews are trustworthy. So I would go to broadbandreports.com and see what others say about Starry. Yeah, you can't really trust the reviews on their site, obviously. They're not going to put the negative ones. And does anybody in the chat room? I don't think anybody in our chat room has tried Starry, so I don't have any direct reviews of them here. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.